All right, fans. Now, this is going to be something a little different. And we reached out to the community, to the Pro Wrestling Reality Nation. And, I put out a poll to the audience. I said, do you want me to cover our industry, my industry, which is, wrestling? That's where I got started. I've been talking wrestling for a long time now. 2018, I believe, is when I started this whole pro wrestling reality thing. And the fans spoke. And you wanted me to talk wrestling. So that's what we're going to do tonight. We have one thing first that I want to celebrate with the fans. Like I said, this might be something a little different. I don't know if the major, audience combined will be that interested. But, if you like wrestling, if you're hot, for our industry, that industry, you're in the right place. So we're going to get started here. And I just had, actually it sucks because I didn't have supper tonight. So actually, I didn't have time to go get anything. So I had to make a lunch meat sandwich. And I mean, it sucks. But I have that just here on the side. So I might take a bite or two here and there. I mean, it sucks. It's far from Burger King, but gotta keep my strength up. I might take a bite or two on the air, so I apologize for that. But before we get started, I have something to share, and it's nothing major. I'll just how are you guys doing tonight? I was so hot. I got on the air and I was just in my zone. I'm excited tonight, and like I said, I don't know how this is gonna go. I consulted with a few dudes that, have been involved with me when I was doing my pro wrestling reality thing. And we were kind of trying to come up with an idea. Because the truth is, like I said the other night, modern wrestling, I mean, I watch it, I keep up with it. But it just doesn't get me as hot as the classic legends. Childhood legends, childhood heroes. Moments that will stick with me until the day I'm on my nursing home deathbed. I'll be closing my eyes, thinking of some of these memories that we're going to talk about tonight. And I think it would be great to share it with you guys. And we will be taking calls, but fans, I want you to know it will be wrestling calls only. So if you want to come on at a certain point of the show, I'm not sure when it's going to be, because there's going to be quite a bit of talking. So I'm going to try my best, to keep up to date with what's going on in the chat. But I will, at some point, definitely be taking calls. So if you want to talk our industry, brother, get ready, get your Discord hot. But we got something to share here, and I'm a little thrown off because the cat's in my room and he's going for my lunch meat sandwich, so I'm kind of trying to keep him away from that. But very graciously, a friend of the channel reached out to me and gave me some suggestions, on what we could do to update, the program. Especially like the main live show. So today, it just got hot here in the mail today. We got a capture card. Very exciting. And I don't know if you can read the logo on the bottom, but what it says is fighting for the dream. And that's exactly what we're doing here. We're fighting, we're building a community, we're leading a lifestyle brand. And I thought, before we get started, I thought I would just, instead of ripping it open, and I thought I'd just kind of open it really quickly with the audience and get my hands on it. But, so hopefully a sign of things to come. No guarantees. I've never used a capture card before. Like I said, if any young dudes are out there and, want to kind of speak about it, So in a ways, this might be a little bit of a shorter show tonight. My goal is roughly about 2 hours. We'll see. You know, we'll see what the engagement's like. We'll see how many calls we get. Because tonight I'll be messing around with this. So I'm just gonna, before we get started, I'm gonna just give it an open up and just take a look at it here. I'm just going to read some of your chats while I'm getting it open. Thoughts on Just Incredible? I mean, it's an incredibly challenging story. You've seen that situation that's on YouTube with him drunk, going into the ring, and, you know, his music hits. He's got kind of, you know, the beer gut spilling out of the t-shirt. And he gets in that ring, brother, and you can tell, you know, he's hot. And it's, you know, 1999 again. But then, you know, so suddenly, I think the modern era caught up with him. You know, you have these dudes telling him to get out of the ring because he's drunk and he's pointing the kendo stick trying to do his character. But it was incredibly challenging, you know, to see, you know, where our childhood legends are now. So the box is open. I mean, this might not be very exciting. I just thought it'd be cool to open it with you guys because, like I said, you guys kind of supported this. And hopefully, you know, I can give back and we can do our thing here. The only thing I'm worried about is I might have to get another dock in case there's too many cords going on. So I'll be taking a look at it tonight. There it is. Nothing too crazy, but I'm kind of excited actually. I've never tried a capture card before. But it's very interesting because I have a lot of cool games on systems that I'd love to share. It'd be really cool, you know, hook up the PS3 and get into maybe some PS1 stuff or, you know, some digital stuff on there. You know, I have all the classics. But yeah, there it is. So another addition to the PWR arsenal, I guess. We'll see where we go. So I don't think there's really much in here. I just want to get a look at what's included here. So I guess you got couple cords. Like I said, I gotta see how this is all gonna be set up. So once I'm off the air tonight, I'll probably be messing around with that, seeing what we can do. No absolute guarantees it will be like in use right away. I will have to, sorry. Oh, Oliver. Sorry. I will have to work around with it, see how it works and all that stuff. Okay, Ollie, that's enough. I'm sorry, everybody. Go on. Go on. He's really hot for that sandwich. So sorry, it was kind of throwing me off. He was using his little paw to grab the sandwich. So there it is. I mean, nothing too exciting, and we'll get started here momentarily. So what are you guys up to? Are you hot to talk our industry? Because I think it's going to be emotional. I love talking wrestling, but like I said, I'd rather talk classic moments, classic legendary history. So that's what we're going to be doing. And like I said, I mean, this may not be for the regular viewers. You may not really want to listen to wrestling. But we're going to get started. So before we get started, I'm just going to take a look at the chat, see what you guys are up to. Let me know if you're feeling it. Let me know if you're hot. And like I said, I apologize. This might be a little different because it's probably going to mostly be talking. So there won't be like any gameplay. So, sadly, you know, WWE are just absolute tyrants when it comes to footage and stuff. So, you know, I got a couple pictures, and that'll probably be it. So, this is a new thing, new ground we're breaking, but not really, because like I said, this is more or less what I've been doing, you know, all along. It just never had an audience, but I thought it'd be interesting, you know, to go back to where it all began. Oh God, I'm hot. I'm emotional. Let's get into it. Okay, so the first moment, you've heard me talk about it multiple times, and that would be Shawn Michaels making his grand entrance at WrestleMania 12. You know, when I was growing up, there was no one more exciting than Shawn. You know, he was one of the first wrestlers I seen in the ring, and just instantly, I was completely captivated. You know, the way he would, you know, enter on the stage, you know, dancing and, you know, taking the jacket off and, you know, taking the ponytail out and swinging the hair around. And it was it was incredible. And I was hot for it, you know, even at that age. So he really, people always ask me, like, who my favorite wrestler is, dude. And it's Shawn. And it all built up, you know, me, I believe I started watching wrestling around 1994-ish, is you know, that kind of time, 94, 95. So we're getting into 96 with this event, WrestleMania 12. And, you know, there was an incredible build-up, you know, Shawn and Bret. It really was, you know, they had faced each other before. But, like, this was, you know, something different, you know, going in there, two men going an hour with each other. And, like, it was groundbreaking, you know, because I really think for that time, they were two of the biggest groundbreakers in the Federation. You know, we were so far away from the whole, you know, take your vitamins, say your prayers, and train days with Hogan. You know, Hogan had closely around this time, I believe it would have been 94, 95, walked across the street from WWF to WCW and, you know, did his thing over there. So it was time for some young dudes, you know, to fill that role, you know, to have a chance to become major superstars. And it really was Shawn and Bret. You know, they were smaller guys, but they were incredibly athletic. They had character. They had, you know, a connection with the audience. And I think that's what really made them successful. But, God, you know, I'm getting emotional just thinking about it. But nothing hits as hard as that night. So the match starts. And, you know, Shawn's trainer comes down. You know, guy with the beer gut and, you know, the receding hairline, and Shawn's music's playing, and everybody's, you know, saying, like, where's Shawn? What's going on here? Where's Shawn? And, you know, I think everybody expected, you know, maybe there was an issue in the back, and Shawn wasn't going to be in the arena tonight. But then it was in the hands of God. It really was, because what we got was one of my favorite moments in this industry. You know, his trainer comes into the ring, gets on the rope, and points to the heavens. That theme kicks in. Brother, that theme kicks in. The opening guitar riff, and we see Shawn at the top of the arena. And, you know, he's very controversial now, but this was back when Vince was doing the commentary, and good God, it was just perfect. You know, I've always said, you know, it's like the wrestlers are the guitar, and the commentators are like the lead singers. And just that call, you know, that's 100 feet in the air. And, you know, you see Shawn up at the top dancing, doing his thing. And then he comes down, as you can see in the picture, brother. He comes down from that top of the arena. Vince saying, unbelievable, what a ride. It was incredible. It was one of the greatest moments, like one of the greatest spectacles, you know, of my youth. And like I said, I mean, I could absolutely imagine, you know, in my 70s, you know, in my nursing home deathbed, you know, going back to that moment and really grasping on to a slice of my youth again. And, you know, I'll never forget it. And it was incredible. So that's the first moment. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't want to get this emotional. I didn't want to get this emotional. Exactly. It's still real to me, damn it. It's always been real to me, damn it. It's more real than it ever was. And you know, I'm glad I got to share that moment with you guys. I'm sorry. I'm so embarrassed that I can't. I don't know if I can do this. Fans, I don't know if I can do this. I mean, we're only on the first moment, and I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to push forward. So that is the first moment that I want to share with you guys. I'm going to take a quick look at the chat in between moments and just try to interact with you guys, because like I said, this is not scripted. This is just right off the cuff, right from the heart, you know, what I'm sharing with you guys. So in between, you know, moments, I'm not really looking too closely at the chat, but I will take a look now. Does anybody have anything to say, you know, about that moment? Any questions or any memories on your own? Yeah, somebody in the chat says, I cry. I have to watch Seth Rollins. It's not HBK. I totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. I think the company really tried to push Seth as that next Shawn Michaels, you know, flamboyant, athletic character. But in my eyes, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he never reached that level. He absolutely never reached that level. Thank you guys. You know, I'm trying to hold it together here. I really, really am. Is that the Hell in a Cell match? No, that was in '97. So that would have been the year after this. The Hell in a Cell match with Undertaker, and that's a whole other thing. You know, people get. I don't want to stray too far from what we're talking about, but man, I mean, that was just a whole other level when Shawn and Mark, you know, got into that cage, staring each other in the face, you know, under the simmering lights, like, and they had that Hell in a Cell come down. Like, it was unbelievable. It was like groundbreaking. A lot of people give credit to Foley, but it was Shawn who went to Vince after seeing the Hell in a Cell structure and said, you know, can we do something off the top? So, you know, Foley did what he did and got that incredible, you know, highlight reel moment. But it was Shawn, you know, who really innovated the Hell in a Cell. Anything else you guys want to speak about this moment before I move on? I'm like, this is something a little different, fans, so I apologize if I'm not doing it, you know, too well, but I'm really trying. I'm getting emotional. I'm just talking about the first moment. I don't know if any other moments will get me that emotional, but you cried when Al Snow won the hardcore title? They tried to make Stevie into Shawn. Yeah, that's right. Like, Stevie was a huge Shawn fan. He talked about it openly on his podcast. And, you know, I guess he was talking about never meeting your heroes, because I guess he was apparently incredibly, you know, disappointed in what kind of man Shawn was at the time that, you know, those two interacted. Yeah, HBK made me feel things I didn't think were possible. I absolutely agree. Like, in my opinion, Shawn is WWE. Like, I think Shawn is as much WWE as Hulk Hogan was, to be honest. Because he just encapsulates everything. He knows it's entertainment. He's got the athleticism. He's got the simmering charisma. He can get the crowd hot. He has the women hot when he comes down, and men. And like I said, I mean, I will regret every day of my life that I think, like, man, I never got to be in the arena when Shawn, you know, made his entrance. I don't care if I was 13. I don't care if I was 45. I tell you, I'd be jumping up and down like a kid with ants in his pants, screaming at the top of my lungs if I would have got to witness one of his spectacular entrances. So, that was the first moment. That was the first moment. Thank you for listening and letting me share my passion for such a great memory that means something to me. I'm trying. I'm really trying. I didn't expect to get this emotional. Somebody says they saw Vince and Shawn at Mania. That would have been really cool. Absolutely. Absolutely, dude. Good for you. That would have been incredible. Thank you, Shawn. Absolutely. Thank you, Shawn. Like I said, it's sad because he comes out now as the general manager character, whatever it is. And I can imagine, you know, so many young kids looking up at their father and, you know, saying, who's this old guy, Dad? You know, oh, son, this was who I watched growing up. So it's incredible. Okay, 1 second, because I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm really trying to hold it together, fans. I apologize, but we did get a contribution, and I'm very gracious. Thank you for that. I will read that out. I got to pull myself together. Here. We got $6.64. You would blow Phil out of the water if you co-hosted Smart Guides. Well, I'll just touch on that. I mean, like I said, talking about modern wrestling with somebody, I just don't know. Like, I do follow it. Usually I just catch up, like when I have some spare time, I'll just watch the week's worth of stuff in like one go. But talking about it, I just don't think it would get me that hot. And I don't think sitting there with Phil, talking talking Raw this week, I just don't think the fans want it. Anyway, we're gonna move on to the next moment. And that is, when I look at this photo, like, I'm brought right back to the peak of my childhood. And it was the night Glenn Jacobs, attacked Shane McMahon and electrocuted his testicles live on the air. These two, I don't know what older fans would have thought of this angle, of this storyline. But to me, like when I was younger and these two were doing their thing, it was incredible. Unbelievable. It was a great feud. I think it was a very underrated feud. Shane was an incredible risk taker. He was a showman. He was willing to really get in there and, push himself and try different things and really, entertain the audience. He absolutely gave his body. And, Glenn Jacobs Kane was always a very interesting character. He was dark. He was different. But they did this whole storyline. I think this would have been 2002, 2003. I think the photo that we're looking at here was 2003 specifically. But they did this whole angle, where Kane removed the mask, first time, ever. And they had him go nuts. They had him attacking people, and, he was giving tombstones at the top of the entryway onto the floor, and he was just causing a lot of destruction. He did that interview with JR where he set him on fire, and JR was screaming, and it was unbelievable. And it really, I think, made the Kane character mean something again. I think it made that Kane character feel dangerous again. And it was incredible. So these two, they went back and forth. And it was like every week, I remember how excited I was to see where things would go next. They did the whole thing with Kane tombstoning Linda, Shane's mother, Vince's wife, on the top. And, that's where these two started their heat. And Kane, went after Shane. They did a lot of great stuff. I think they had, and this is just off the top of my memory. It's been years since I watched it. I watched this clip again. I tried to go back and watch all these moments, but I didn't watch all the build up to it. But, Shane was jumping off the stage, and, Kane, I think, got thrown into a garbage bin, and it was set on fire. And, they had a couple really incredible, underrated matches that were just brawls, that were just knock down, drag out brawls. They also did the ambulance match, which was really incredible. But this moment in particular really felt like, the night the line was almost crossed. Maybe they went too far. So, what happened essentially was Glenn Jacobs, attacked Shane and, got the upper hand and tied him up to the ring post, as you see on the screen. And he went under the ring, and, you remember JR and King saying, what the hell has he got under there? And it was a car battery. So, he tied Shane up, and he put the jumper cable onto his private parts, and he was holding the other end of it up to the fans, and the fans were going nuts for it. Fans were hot for it. And he jacked that jumper, and the sparks flew. Shane was screaming in pain, You know, the announcers were saying, you know, like, get somebody out here to stop this. You know, this is going too far. And it was unbelievable. Like, it was like something I never seen before. That level of brutality for a hot feud like this. Forget about it. And it really built up to their match, you know, going forward. So, that was the first 2 moments. We have 10 in total. So, we'll take a quick break to see if there's any calls. If there is any calls, and like I said, this is specifically to talk wrestling. And if you don't talk wrestling, you're going to be off the air. So I do apologize, fans. I don't like to be like that. I usually like people just to speak openly. But these will be wrestling calls. So I'm going to open up the line. Open up the Wrestleline that I haven't done in so long. And here we go. We're going to take some calls. We got WWE Social Gaming. I'm going to give him a call back here. Friend of the program. WWE Social Gaming, if you are in the chat, I am calling you up because I missed your call. WWE Social Gaming?
Hi, dude. You okay? Yeah?
How are you, dude? You're the first guest. And it's like a full circle moment. You know, you're the first guest on the relaunch of the PWR Wrestleline. You know how emotional I can get. What's on your mind tonight? We're talking wrestling again.
Damn right, brother. Damn right. I'm absolutely stoked that you're talking wrestling again. It's like the old days. It's like the old wrestling space.
Absolutely. So
damn right. And I'm pleased that you mentioned Jose Lothario. He was HBK's manager then, wasn't he?
Yeah, and a legend in his day, for sure.
Yeah, I can remember it. Was it Survivor Series 1996? Didn't he have like a heart attack?
Yeah, I remember that. They did that heart attack story. I remember that.
Yeah, and they I think it was his match with Sid, wasn't it? And didn't they like hit him with the camera by mistake?
Yeah.
And then he had a
I remember that. I mean, when I was a kid, I was always like, how are they beating up these old guys like that? You know, it's like seeing your grandfather getting carried away in a stretcher. So what's your question or comment, dude? Or do you want to share a memory of your own?
I was just commenting on the ones that you've done so far. So that HBK one was a big one at WrestleMania 12.
Yeah, I think for a lot of original era fans, it really was a moment that sticks out.
And I liked how you broke it down because I'm 37. I think I'm a couple of years older than you.
Yeah.
And that was that was like one of my first WrestleMania. My first WrestleMania was WrestleMania 9.
Yeah.
And then it moved on, and then WrestleMania 12. That one with HBK making that entrance was just amazing at the time.
Oh yeah.
Just like you're saying, the charisma and everything, because I can remember being not sure about him because I was more of a Brett guy back then.
Right.
And I can remember being, I don't know about Shawn Michaels, but you're right. It was just something about him where I thought he's better.
I just, like I said, I mean, Brett.
Athletic.
Sorry, brother. Like I said, I think Brett really represented wrestling. But I think Shawn, knew the entertainment side of it, knew that it was show business. And I think he really, he was everything that WWE was about.
Exactly, yeah. And he could tell that was the direction that the WWE was going even back then. And it was just fitting that Shawn Michaels won the title at Edward Dream.
Yeah, the boyhood dream coming true, just like it's coming true for me right now.
Damn right, and what did you think about that match going to overtime?
It was surprising. I mean, a lot of people didn't think they were going to do the full hour. I think a lot of people thought, Brett was going to get the win that night decisively. But I think what they did in choosing to go into the overtime, helped, make both guys really, really come across as like top level contenders.
Yeah, it really did. Like, get him to that next level of stardom, didn't he?
Absolutely. But anyway, I am going to let you go. I want to thank you so much for being our first guest here, and we'll talk again, brother.
Yeah, damn right. I'm going to keep on watching the show.
All right.
Yeah, good show.
Yeah, thank you, dude. I'll talk with you another time. Incredible. I mean, how emotional is that? You know, somebody who was there when I launched the original Wrestleline program. You know, following and, you know, being a fan and, you know, having real conversations about our industry. And here he is, you know, sharing in the success of the show. So thank you to him. We'll take another call. I'm really trying not to get emotional here. We got Honky Kong. How are you doing, brother? I hope you're ready to talk wrestling tonight.
Oh, yeah, big wrestling fan. Actually, I think my first WrestleMania was WrestleMania 18.
Oh, brother, that's one of my favorites. One of my favorites.
Oh my goodness! But I just wanted to give you the props, PWR, and just you are well deserved of the trajectory that you're on, and I want to give props to the PW Army because we're revved up.
Yeah.
We're just hot young dudes with attitude.
Absolutely, you got it.
Yes, sir. And also, I know I had talked this year's WrestleMania with you last time I called.
Yeah.
And with the new developments of Kevin Owens not being there.
Yeah, not too surprised with that.
Nah, which, I mean, if he needs to take time for his health, I mean, Kevin Owens is one of the greats in there right now. Like,
he's never really had me that hot, but I can't deny, you know, early in his career, if you go back and you watch the tapes, like, he really absolutely was giving his body, you know, for the industry. So, you know, he's kind of changed styles a bit. But I think he's still susceptible to a lot of injuries, so it's good that he's getting some time off. But it's a shame, you know, for his fans that he's going to be missing WrestleMania.
Yeah, which, I mean, and I know all of his fans would agree that, I mean, his health is paramount because, I mean, I don't know, like, I know back in the day, the kayfabe and protecting the character was like really important, and nowadays it's like everybody's kind of in on it, but the fans still love it.
Yeah, it's still real to us. You know, I know people always laugh and joke about that meme, but like I take it as a philosophy.
Yeah, and that just shows that's the beautiful side of wrestling. It's like we know, but we still believe.
Yeah, absolutely. You dude, the way you said that got me the tingling all over my body. I got goosebumps the way you're putting that. I'm gonna let you go, but I want to thank you for your call tonight.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
All right, take care. Thank you. Okay, we'll take another one. Before we do, just stay on the line, everybody, because we did get another contribution that I'm going to call out. I'm sorry, you know. I'm really trying to hold it together here. It's incredibly challenging. We got $26.57. Thank you so much. May fortune smile upon you, and may all your troubles cease to exist. You deserve the good things coming your way. That's a really sweet, thoughtful message. Thank you so much, and thank you for the contribution. So I'm going to get back to the Discord. Like I said, just hold on the line. I'm going to accept. I have a couple people to accept, but just... And like I said, if I don't get to you, just keep calling. Don't worry about bothering me or anything like that. Just hold on the line, and we'll get you on. So who do we got next? We got Super Chufer. Brother, welcome to the Pro Wrestling Reality Wrestleline. I hope you're ready to talk wrestling. What's on your mind?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm emotional, but I'm good.
You're good. I've got this like complex sort of philosophical question.
I'll try my best, dude.
Okay, so before Hogan, there was like regional heroes.
Yeah.
They didn't have like the national thing, but you had your big men in your regions, and they didn't always have to be faces like Ric Flair and some of the other Southern.
Yeah,
wrestlers.
Jerry Lawler.
Yeah, for sure. Like Jerry Lawler, yeah, great example. Like definitely a heel, yeah. So they had these like strong villains, and then the WWF comes along, and Hogan is this superhero.
Yeah.
If anything, isn't he? He's like the hero, the face's face.
Yeah, I mean, he was like the G.I. Joe, or something of that nature to WWE, and put a lot of food on a lot of tables. Record-breaking merchandise sales. It's like people can say what they want to say about him nowadays, but I mean, like he made WWE what it was. Him and Vince.
So after Hogan, it was a bit of a difficult time because they tried to pass the belt over to Brett, but didn't quite stick, did it? And
yeah, it took him a few years, I think, to really build, himself, a connection with the fans, and the way he presented himself. I think took some time for the audience to really get behind because he was doing his thing in the Hart Foundation, and they were really over as a tag team. But I think when they really went to push Brett, after Hogan, I think there was a real transitional period there.
Right, and it's interesting to me that at that moment as well, you like Shawn, and Shawn I thought was presented more of as a heel.
Yeah, absolutely. So, when he first showed up on the scene.
So then later on in that, we get people like Triple H who come in as a heel and always have that sort of heel energy. So my big question after all this is how important is it for the champion to be a hero? And should faces dominate? And should we be supportive of the faces, or do you like a heel? Because you went for Shawn over Brett. Yeah.
Well, I'll let you go and I'll answer that on the air so I can give you a clear answer, okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you.
You answer that. Well, before I go, can I just say Ashton has a physique like a plastic bag full of cat food. And
Okay. All right. You said it. I didn't say it, but you said it on the air, and that's the passion of the fans. Anyway, so to try to answer his question here, it's very challenging, especially in this day and age. And I mean, things are evolving, things are changing now in WE. I think the bad guys, are kind of, getting hot again. A great example of that is Drew McIntyre. I don't think they fully pulled the trigger on him, but I think he could be, a top level champion that could kind of have that Austin energy. He's a tough, gruff man, but he can also really be pushed as a champion. And I mean, if you go back and you look at Austin, I think it's that same kind of energy in a way, and I think they're really missing the boat by not pulling the trigger on a guy like that. I mean, you have Cody Rhodes right now, who really is that kind of Captain America. He's in the ring taking photos with the children and stuff like that. But it's really interesting to me because I feel like WWE is kind of trying to get away from that. I mean, compared to the way things were in like the 2010s with Cena, it worked, and it worked for a long time. And I think you're seeing that same kind of tactic being used with Cody now. So I think it's going to be challenging. I think it's going to be challenging for WE to want to break that mold and put a big heel as champion again. So 1 second here, because we did get another contribution, then we'll take another call. Hopefully these calls aren't going too long. I really want people to really get into their memories and really get into their questions. So I want to thank you guys for sharing those memories with me. We got $5. Thank you. I'm going to read your message really quick. I love the passion. Well, thank you. I watched Saturday Night Main Event way back in the 80s. Well, I'm sorry, that's before my time. But where Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, and Jesse Ventura, all those legends competed. Yeah, great, incredible names. We will get back to the switchboard here. The Wrestleline is hot. Fans, I never expected this amount of support. Compared to people are always joking, streaming to nobody, talking wrestling. Here we are in front of a massive audience. So hold on. We got Rock Low. Brother, you are on the line. I hope you're ready to talk wrestling. What's on your mind?
What's up, brother? I wanted to talk about HBK, your favorite wrestler.
Go ahead, yeah.
So when I was young, right, I first saw him with the Rockers, right? When I was maybe 8 or 9 years old, he came out as the Rockers, and he was hype, and I liked him.
Yeah.
He was cool. And then by the time I was 10 or 12, he was the sexy boy.
Yeah.
And it was very weird to me at the time. I remember being what are they doing? Why are... And it's strange to me, you've denounced your sexuality, but your favorite wrestler is the biggest sexualized guy, like,
Yeah.
other than Rick Rude. It's like such a weird, you know what I'm saying?
I get it, but you know what it is? It's like, I think he transcended the gimmick. You know, I really think, you know, a lot of people had that same reaction. Like I said, that was a little before my time. He was kind of already doing his thing by the time I seen him. But dude, if you took any other wrestler and you gave them that gimmick and that theme song, and you know, I think it would have been like the kiss of death. But I think Shawn just had such a charisma that it just didn't matter. He had so much energy, and you know, the way he worked in the ring, I don't think the character really mattered. It wasn't ever about the character, it was about the man behind the character. So I think it was really interesting, and he always stuck with it. He never changed his theme song. You know, even when he went Christian, he was still the sexy boy. And it's just a great example of it's not the gimmick that makes the man, you know, and I that's kind of how I see it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just remember being a kid and being like really weirded out by that transition in him specifically, like very weird to me.
Yeah, anyway.
He's one of the greatest, absolutely.
Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the
Oh, yeah. Brother, I still want him in the ring. I'd be booking the flight and, you know, getting the hotel ready if Shawn announced another match in a minute.
Can I totally switch in and ask you how you feel about Danhausen?
I'll answer that off the air, all right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no problem. Anyway, thanks for your call. His answer about Danhausen, I don't have really too much to say. I've seen the character, I've seen the gimmick. Doesn't really do much for me. I mean, it's an interesting look, but it's almost kind of like, I wouldn't say comedy, but it's kind of like a light kind of character. And I've just never really been behind it. And I'm sorry if that's not the answer that you were looking for, but that's as honest as I can be. So we got another contribution here. I'm going to read that out. We got $13.28. Thank you so much. Like I said, I wasn't really expecting like fans to really, you know, contribute or interact. I just wanted to, you know, go back to my roots and, you know, share my passion with like a larger audience. So thank you so much. And he's asking about PPP and me doing wrestling. And like I said, that's not the game plan, you know, at this time. I'm not going to go there. Like I said, in my heart, it's just telling me it's just not the time. That's not really an avenue that personally I'm interested in going down. But God only knows, you know, what could happen. But at this time, that won't be happening. And I apologize, fans. We'll take a few more because I want to get back into the memories. Who do we got here? Oh, 1 second, because we got another contribution. You guys are freaking crazy tonight. You guys are getting me hot. I might have to unbutton the top of the dress shirt here for you guys tonight. You guys are amazing. Let's see. We got $6.64. And he asks, do you think pro wrestling will ever reach the popularity it did under Vince? I mean, in a way, I think it is. I think ever since they moved to that Netflix era, you know, things are kind of hot again. I think wrestling is always going to have that negative kind of connotation. Like I said, as fans, we really take the burden onto ourselves, you know, being a fan. It's not something you just want to openly, you know, celebrate and embrace, you know, with everybody. But I think they're doing a great job. Will it be as big as it was with Vince? If you're talking about like the 90s, you know, because Vince was still there at some of the lowest points in that company, you know, especially when I'm talking about like 2009, 10, 12, you know, around that time. But I think they're getting there. The arenas are huge. I mean, I remember watching SummerSlam and Royal Rumble and some of those events they did across, you know, other outside of the U.S., and it was just like, you know, I felt like I was back in 2002 again, you know, and I think, you know, there's a potential, but, you know, nothing's guaranteed. 1 minute you're hot, the other minute you're not. So that's my answer to that. We got another contribution. Thank you, fans. Oh, my goodness, dude, dude, I am so close to unbuttoning the top because, fans, we got $132 from, I'm not going to say her name, but he said, I was introduced to you by the Keno Casino, and I love your show. Well, thank you. Like I said, this isn't my regular show. This isn't regularly how I do things here. But I just thought it would be, you know, last night we did a crazy live, just hang out, chill stream. So I thought tonight tonight was the night to talk wrestling, to celebrate our industry. So thank you so much for being a fan. I can't believe that amount of support. Very much appreciated. And I think it's going to a good cause. You're helping us build this lifestyle brand, helping, move things along, helping us reach another level. So thank you to you. And I won't read your name, but very, very well, thank you. So I'm gonna see if we got any other calls here. Lines are open, guys. And then we'll get into the next moment that I want to speak about openly. We do have a lot of notifications. I guess a lot of people want to celebrate our industry tonight with me. So I'll allow it. Go ahead. And the line is right in front of me here. I was just checking some contributions, so I'm sorry I missed a few of your calls there. I see them. But get back to me, and we'll get you on the line. We got Groovy Snake, big supporter of the channel. Brother, I hope you're ready to talk our industry tonight. What's on your mind?
Hey man, it's PWR. Hope you're having a good night.
Yeah.
It's great on the show.
Thank you.
Hey, I was wondering what your thoughts are on the last WOR event.
WOR?
Amazing power bomb. Yeah, he power bombed his wife Kelly onto a table.
Okay, yeah, we're not getting into detractor, kind of national inquiry. This is wrestling. I'm not getting into it. I apologize because he is a big supporter of the channel, but I'm not going to get into that debauchery. I'm sorry. Okay, so it looks like we don't got many other callers here. I'm just going to accept everybody. And we'll take, I guess, one more because the lines are kind of slow tonight. But I'm assuming like not everybody wants to really talk wrestling. But so if we don't get another call, we'll just get back into the moments here, and we'll open the lines again. So, okay, we got RPS. One moment. Hello, brother. I hope you're hot, and I hope you're ready to talk our industry. It's a celebration tonight. It's a celebration. What's on your mind, dude? Hit me with what you got.
How are you?
I'm good.
That's good to hear. So, I know you're about the No Ass Life, but I want to hear your thoughts about Liv Morgan. Is that possible?
Yeah, I could do that. Is that your question? Because I'll answer on the line here and I'll let you go.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, thank you for calling in and being part of the show. So he wants me to get into Liv Morgan, and I will do that. In my opinion, which surprises me about this Liv Morgan, and I mean, of course, she's, turning over and flaunting the ass, and it kind of gets into that whole topic I've wanted to get into about sexuality kind of creeping a little bit back into wrestling again, especially after the women's revolution where, the women's had more clothing on, the wrestling was meant to be taken more seriously, especially with this whole thing with the Rhea Ripley and the mommies on top kind of getting into almost like a BDSM, alternative sexuality kind of vibe. And then Liv Morgan comes along and she's shaking her ass and she's, running around with this Dominic. I'm not sure how I really feel about that. The audience is responding to it. I think it has very much of more like a soap opera-y vibe with a bit of an edge. So, I mean, I give them props. It's not my entertainment. But Liv Morgan, as a wrestler, I think she really has something. I think she has a really unique body, being this really kind of tiny girl. But man, when she wrestles, she uses that to her advantage. And I think it really makes her somebody, who can really, fight against the big challenger and come out on top. And every time I watch her in the ring, I'm genuinely surprised, at how good of a wrestler she really is. She, she's more than just, an ass. And I think she's proved that in a lot of the matches she had with Rhea. So there's your answer. We'll see if we get one more call. We got, I just missed your call. We had Based RL, but okay, we got you. You're on the line, brother. We're talking memories. We're talking legends. We're talking our industry. What's on your mind, brother?
Oh yeah, PWR. I just want to say, great momentum on the streams. I've been busy with work. But
no worries.
Fuck, dude. You're
watch the language.
Oh, sorry, Master. Basically, I just wanted to get your. I've never been that much of a pro wrestling guy, but I just wanted to get your perspective on the Chris Benoit tragedy.
Yeah, of course.
And, you know, what that was like being on the ground floor and witnessing that, you know, and waking up almost like it was kind of like, you know, as an American, I can kind of, you know, I can almost imagine that was kind of a 9/11 moment.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And I'll get into that. If that's your question, I'll answer that on the air and I'll let you go.
Absolutely, man. I want to hear that.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I'll get into it. So I got to keep this really short because I do have a controversial opinion, you know, that people might not agree with. But when it comes to Chris, I mean, the stuff he did in Atlanta was incredible. You know, I think he did really get the recognition he deserved, you know, when the company was WCW is what I'm talking about. When the company was really kind of hitting its lowest point, I think they finally started to see, you know, this guy's a great wrestler. He's been all over the world. But when he went to WWE, you know, it took him a while. I think he came in at about 2000 with that Radical group, you know, Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, Chris Benoit, and I think somebody else, I can't remember, Perry Saturn, I think. And he was kind of just in that groove, you know, doing matches here and there on Raw. He had a couple good things going on with Jericho and a few other people. But man, when he hit his absolute peak around 2003, like, that's when I was hooked. When he was doing stuff with Angle, you know, doing stuff with Lesnar and, you know, these heavy-hitting collegial wrestlers, dude. He was just, like, untouchable. So when the whole tragedy went down, you know, I don't want to get into a big thing because I could talk forever about it, but to really simplify it and break down my opinion, it's really sad because, you know, WrestleMania 20 was pretty much right near the end of when I stopped watching. I think I watched WrestleMania 21, and then that was kind of it until about 2010. But dude, I remember waking up that morning and like the day after or whenever it came out that it happened, and it was on the news, and I just remember, like, really my heart was really heavy. And I think at that time it was just announced that his family was found dead. I don't think everything had come out yet. But it was incredibly, you know, emotional. I mean, we already lost Eddie by that time, which was a big one too. But my thoughts on the whole, you know, murder thing and all this, it's controversial, but a lot of people say he's unforgivable, and I get that. But what I do have issue with is we've seen the results of, you know, the amount that he gave to this industry. He really was another one who gave his body, heart, blood, soul, mind on that stage. And you know, I think just something snapped, and I think when he did those actions, as horrible and horrific and disturbing as they were, like, I don't believe, you know, if they would have, you know, taken steps to protect these guys at that time, you know, it probably wouldn't have happened. So I find it a little hard because the guy's brain was gone. Like they said, he had the brain of like a 90-year-old with Alzheimer's. So I'm not like excusing it, but I think it's almost like you have to look at it like two different people. And it's really sad and it's really complicated. But that's just my off-the-cuff response. Great question, and I'm glad I could get into it. So we'll try to take one more, because a lot of these questions I could talk all day about. But 1 second. So, I'm sorry, guys. Okay, we got Dot Hogan. Brother, I hope you're hot. I hope you're fired up to talk wrestling. What's on your mind?
Oh, brother, I'm absolutely hot. I am fired up. I'm out here in the Miami heat, driving down the freeway right now. I'm boiling in the sun.
I love it. I love it.
All right, I wanted to follow up on the last question. I agree with you on your take on the Chris Benoit because, what's it called? Wrestling is an art. If you think about wrestling, it's all about the kayfabe, it's all about the storylines. You know, you wouldn't have wrestling if it was just like the UFC and it was just the violence. You know, you got to have your Vince McMahons in there. You got to have your engineers, right?
Absolutely. It's like the Marvel comics of entertainment, you know? It's like the Disney of sports.
Exactly, and to that extent, like Chris Benoit, the character in the WWE is not the same as Chris Benoit, the man who killed his wife and children. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, that's very well put.
Entertained us on TV, and you know what I mean, gave us some of those stellar fucking moves. Sorry for the language. Stellar moves that ended up being in some of the WWE games and things like that. Like I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, I think a lot of people might be hot that I'm putting it that way, but I think the real fans know the difference between the guy in the ring doing his thing and, the guy who was a very sick, damaged man who just, snapped, and it's sad. And I don't want to say too much more about it because it's pretty controversial. Not everybody's going to agree. But I'm
Danzig, Kanye West, like we gotta separate like Kanye West, like his music.
Well, yeah, it's like the same with R. Kelly. I got a lot of heat for coming out as somebody who grew up listening to R. Kelly.
He gave us classics, but he also, gave that girl,
Yeah, which is unfortunate, but I just think of the music that's on the record, dude, and that's pretty much it. But I am gonna let you go. Thank you for your follow up on that.
Hey, thank you so much, PW.
All right, thank you
so much for getting with me.
No problem. Anyway, fans, that'll be just it for the calls for now. We will get back on the line, so if I missed you, I apologize, but I'm going to move on and get into some other moments. But in the meantime, we have another contribution to read out, so we'll do that right now. We got... Oh my goodness, I'm not sure if this is a repeat, so I apologize if this is the same message, I don't know. But we got $132 effing dollars. Hot. Locked. The fans are ready to explode. $132. Thank you so much. When time is right and you do a wrestling PPP, it should be strictly business. Well, thank you so much, dude. Dude, you're throwing me off because I'm incredibly hot. I mean, it's not about the contributions, and I apologize. I don't take, if you send $1, I'll try to answer your question. I'm very gracious, but I mean, geez, the level of support is like incredible. So thank you. So I'm going to put the phone down. I'm going to take a breath. And we're gonna go back in time again. And, we're going to talk more memories. So let's do that. So what do we got next? Brother, this is a big one. This is a big one. And I'm going to try to really limit my thoughts on it, but this is huge. We're going to be talking about, I think this was about 2010, when Bret Hart, who we never thought we would see in WWE again, came back to, do his thing with Vince. And it was just, I'm so emotional because this was such a big time in my life. Like I said, when I stopped, celebrating our industry, I felt like I was like, I was getting older. I was like, I don't want to be known as like the wrestling kid. I want a chance to like make new friends and, be cool or whatever. So I really kind of put wrestling out of my head, from about 2004-05 to 2010. And this is what brought me right back. And it was, I'm sorry. Oh my God. I'm sorry, fans. I'm sorry. It's like a flood of emotion is coming back to me. Like for a slight moment, I'm right back there again. I really am. But I mean, this is when all the fire came back for me. When I heard Bret was going to be coming back to WWE, to do his thing, with Vince, like I was right back into it. And what's really emotional is that this is when a new kind of chapter in my life as a wrestling fan kind of began. Like this is when I started finding podcasts and like getting more behind the scenes and learning like so much about wrestling from my past and the stories and the history. And I couldn't wait. This was also when TNA across the street was doing their thing with Hogan and, the NWO. Like this, like looking back now, this was a great time, to come back and celebrate the industry again. I'm sorry, fans. I'm sorry. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this, fans. I apologize. I didn't think I was going to get this emotional. I'm sorry. We got to keep going. We got to keep pushing forward. I'm sorry. Let me take a breath here. But anyway, So this was, I'm not exactly sure, I think it was WrestleMania 26. Correct me if I'm wrong, but man, like I was hyped. Everybody knows, you know, if you're a wrestling fan, you know the heat between, you know, Bret and Vince for that whole screw job thing. And, you know, the whole trial with Owen. You know, the death of Owen. There was so much heat that I don't think anyone would have expected this happening. And, you know, they did some half decent promos. I think him and Shawn, you know, came in the ring and, you know, talked it out and shook hands. And it was actually really funny because I remember they did that segment where Shawn and Bret, like, are talking in the ring and they shake hands and hug. And they played Shawn's music and you could look at the face of Bret. He was just like, MF for scooping my heat again. Like that was always kind of funny. But, you know, it was a great storyline. I think they went a little too far with some stuff. They had, you know, Bret, you know, crashing an ambulance with a transfer truck. And I don't remember exactly, but they were doing some pretty crazy stuff. But, I mean, that's WE. And I don't think the storyline needed that. But, man, you know, when Bret came back, he had the leather jacket. He came out, the music hit. He was kind of looking at the arena, shaking his head up and down, and fans responded. Fans were hot. And it was really an incredible moment, you know, for us original era fans. And, you know, it brought me back into wrestling full force. And it was incredible. And for the match itself, a lot of people didn't like it. It was what it was, but I loved it, dude. Those few seconds of Bret standing in the ring, hitting the elbow drops, and you know everything. Like it was just, I distinctly remember watching that. I'm right back there again, watching that on my laptop in that moment of time, and just every second I was just, man, I can't believe we're getting this. This is incredible. This is amazing. It kind of broke down a bit though. There was a part of the match that was a little uncomfortable where Bret was just slamming Vince with the chair repeatedly. So it kind of broke down a bit, but it was great. And you know, getting, you know, Bret hitting the sharpshooter on Vince, middle of the ring, his family at ringside. I mean, it was a great moment. It was a great moment for original era fan. Yeah, it did make me hot. It really did. I was like as close to the screen as I could. You know, every step Bret was taking, I was like, thank you, Bret. Yeah, thank you, you know, for putting, you know, all that history aside and getting in there and really, you know, embracing the fans again. So it was a great moment. It really was. And we're going to move on. Like I said, I mean, there's so much backstory to it and everything, but I just wanted to focus on the match and just the moment. 2010. I mean, a lifetime ago now. And it feels like, dude, it feels like, you know, a week ago sometimes when I think back to this moment. So that's another one. Yeah, thank you, Bret. Someone says in the chat. Absolutely. Thank you, Bret. Thank you, Bret. A lot of fans are saying it. Yeah, thank you. Hitman Returns. It was incredible. Like I said, it was the spark that built the fire back up in me as a fan again. So we're going to move on. What's the next one? This is a big one. This is a big one. And brother, this one's going to get controversial. This one's going to get controversial. This is incredibly, you know, I'm just going to give a disclaimer here. You know, this is a very, you know, sensitive, challenging conversation we're going to have. But I'm going to just get into it. I'm going to be respectful as I can. I'm going to be as real as I can. But we're talking about the real life heat that Paulie Heyman and Tommy Dreamer had. And, you know, how, you know, Dreamer had some really devious ideas in mind. He was in such a dark place. So a lot of you fans, know the Philadelphia original promotion, and how groundbreaking it was. I'm talking ECW, all those characters, all those, big spots they did with the weapons and the blood and the violence. And it was like grunge rock, in those kind of dirty, grungy, bingo halls and, church basements and wherever they were. But the fans were rabid for it. The fans were hot. It provided an alternative at that time. And I enjoyed it. I wasn't the biggest fan, but I mean, it was different. As a younger, kid, it was pretty cool. Anytime I got to check it out. But Dreamer really was the heart and soul of ECW. He gave his body, gave his blood, met his wife, had his children because of ECW. He said it himself. And, getting into the 2000s, things weren't really looking so good. The industry was really changing like year by year at that time. Like if you look at like 94 to 2000, I mean, that's like 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 2000. So in the span of about 7 years, like the landscape just completely like was flipped on its head. And ECW was really struggling, and eventually they went out of business, and there was a lot of heat at that time because Paul Lee was kind of like this, everybody says he was like this cult leader. He could really give a speech, he could get the soldiers riled up, but behind the scenes there was a lot of issues, there was a lot of debt. There was a lot of talent, to this day, who were not paid for their service over there. A lot of those guys, giving their bodies, making sacrifices, trying to really build this alternative brand. And, some of them, 50, 60 years old, are still, working wrestling matches in school gyms, and then going to the hotel, eating a can of beans, and it's incredibly challenging, Well, Paul Lee, is up here in WE. He's got the cozy salary. He's been doing his thing, for a decade now, the whole advocate character. Did his thing with Brock Lesnar, did his thing with Punk, did his thing with Roman Reigns now. But I don't think a lot of the younger fans, how devious and, cutthroat he was. You heard Stevie Richards come out talking, how he was kind of throwing around these suspicious contracts to people. And when anyone would question him, Paul Lee would get the bug eyes and, say, oh, you don't trust me? You don't trust me? And, I just think he was very cutthroat. He was very political. He was desperate. And, when you got those caged lions waiting to be fed, they're all looking at you for their meal. That becomes an issue. And I don't think he handled it very well. And this is where we get into it. So around 2000, Paul Lee was really trying to save things. He was trying to keep it going. And Tommy took a loan from his own mother, and gave it directly to Paul Lee, to help keep this going. And, Paul Lee, made an announcement that he was going to be going out to Hollywood and that he was going to be trying to get a network deal to keep the whole show going. But what he did, instead of doing that, he took a role in a film, Rollerball. And, a lot of the talent was hot. And, after that, it was about a year later that, ECW closed up shop. And not too soon after that, Paul Lee traded his ECW ball cap for a WWF ball cap. And, a lot of the talent was hot about that. And nobody was more hot about it than Dreamer. And, here's where we get into the story. A lot of people don't know, this is something that only came out recently. And over the past maybe 5 years or so. But, Dreamer was in a dark place. He lost his career after giving his blood, sweat, tears, and body. And he was trying to get work again in the WWE. And, he wasn't getting the phone call. And, in the meantime, he's sitting on the couch watching Paul Lee, getting that big WWE money, and he was hot. So, what was really disturbing, and I'm going to, warn the fans. This is where things get really troubling. That Tommy, was not in the right state of mind. And he started to hatch a devious plan, at WrestleMania 17 in the Astro Silverdome, Texas. He remembers, walking around the arena close to the event, and he's seen a sign that said that guns were welcome in the arena. Now, I don't know the specifics of U.S. gun law or anything like that. So, I don't know exactly how it would have worked. But Dreamer, started coming up with this idea that he was going to bring a gun to WrestleMania. And he was going to jump the barricade. Because at the time, Paul Lee was... at the bench doing commentary with Jim Ross, but he was going to jump the guardrail. He was going to hit his pose, and he was going to blow Heyman's brains out right on the live WrestleMania air. And I mean, when he came out with that story, I think a lot of people were shocked. A lot of people were saying, good God, that didn't happen. I mean, WrestleMania 17, some people argue like that was like the highest point, in the curve. And then it's just kind of been down. So that would have just probably destroyed WE. It would have been like a press media nightmare. But, by the grace of God, apparently Jim Ross, during this exact time that Dreamer was planning this he called Dreamer and just plainly said, just hold on, Tommy, we're talking about it and we're going to get you over here soon. And, JR was an angel for that, he right at that very, I don't know how long in between, but I mean, he might have saved Heyman's life, with that phone call. And I feel very conflicted about it. I mean, obviously, I don't wish death on anybody at all. But, in some ways, maybe without the gun, I would have liked to see Paul Lee face justice. Maybe if he hired a couple dudes to, jump the barricade and rough him up or something like that, I would have been behind it. But no, I never would want things to go to that level. And, I mean, it's not exactly a favorite moment, but I mean, it's a moment that really shows you the reality of our industry, like how real things really are behind the scenes. Okay, so that was another 2 moments. I'm going to go back to the lines. We're going to open them up again. And I don't know if we got any callers. I was getting really emotional there. But, I'm sorry, guys. Oh, I did it again. Thanks. This time somebody actually reminded me. I feel so dumb. I've been really slipping about this. But I forgot to put the chat on the screen again, and I'm so sorry. I get so fired up. I get so hot when I get talking, dude. I'm so sorry. So I'm really sorry, but I want to thank you so much for reminding me. So thank you. It's the second time that I forgot. I think that's the second time I forgot to put the chat up, and I like having the chat up so you guys can watch the replay and read the chat. And I'm really sorry that I missed that. Once I'm hit that button, dude, I'm in my zone. So if you ever notice that it's missing, I'm just trying to get it in a good spot here so it's not covering everything up. But just don't worry and just let me know. So I apologize for that, fans. There's your chat. All right. And also, I forgot to put the multi-stream on because we are dual streaming on Kick tonight. So shout out to everybody on the Kick chat. And let me see if we are on. I'm sorry, I'm a little thrown off. I'm just going to check if we are live on Kick. I'm pretty sure we are. Yeah. Sorry. Okay, yes, we're set and we're hot and we're good to go. So I am going to switch over to the Discord again. Sorry about that, fans. Okay, yes, we're all good to go. Show is going well. I'm having a lot of fun. So hopefully you guys are too. And I'm going to go back to the Discord, and we're going to take some more calls. So we got Grump Celio here. Hello, brother. Sorry it took me a while to get to you. Hope you're ready to talk shop tonight. Talk our industry.
That's right, brother. My question tonight is, what was your, saddest tag team breakup? And you can answer that while I'm down, you know.
Okay, yeah, no problem. I will answer that. That's kind of a tough one because, like, to be honest, I've never been, like, really the biggest tag team guy. I just think it's an avenue to, you know, find new talent that you're going to push as a singles guy. But I'd probably, if I had to say off the top of my head, I'd probably say when they broke the Hardys up. You know, when they broke the Hardys up and they were each doing their thing, Matt eventually went over across the street to Nashville and was doing his thing over there, and Matt was trying a lot of different characters. I would probably have to say that. I mean, I've never been that sad over a tag team breaking up, but if I wanted to... okay, no, the kick chat is in my display now. I'm sorry about that, guys. Okay, we're going to take another call. Anybody else that wants to call in here? We'll open up the lines. I'm going to accept your requests here. Sorry I got a little thrown off. I do apologize, fans. I like to be professional, but dude, when I get going, sometimes things get a little mixed up. So I have accepted all of your requests, and the lines are open. I'll take a look at the chat. The Matt betrayal was tough to watch, absolutely. Like I said, remember to add me as a friend. Remember to add me as a friend or I won't see your call. Okay, we got Adam from the grave. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind, brother, when it comes to our industry?
Like I said, remember.
Hey, how you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm having a lot of fun.
Good.
As a friend, I won't see your call.
Can you turn your system down in the back there? I'm getting feedback.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So how you been doing? How's wrestling going for you?
This has been an incredible show. Like I said, I was tearing up. I was getting emotional. I'm going back to like so many pivotal moments of my life. So I'm glad I get to share it with you guys.
So you're saying that you let Hulk Hogan get you all emotional now?
Yeah, absolutely.
By him taking off his shirt?
Okay, yeah, okay. I'm not disgusting. Disrespectful to our industry. I knew where it was going, and I'm not going to tolerate it. This is a celebration, you know, for real fans to come forward and talk their memories, talk wrestling. It's not to make a joke about me crying over Hulk Hogan taking his shirt off. You know, you can get the hell out. One second. We got Bird Rock Root Farmer. Welcome to the show. I hope you're ready to talk shop.
Hello, PWR. It's been a while.
Yeah,
How you doing?
good to hear from you.
Hey, man. I wanted to talk about one of my favorite, most memorable moments in wrestling of all time.
Sure.
That has to do with the young, hot dude, Kenny Omega.
Okay. I've seen some of his stuff over in Florida, like in the modern era, but I don't know a lot of the history. So go ahead and share your memories.
He's like a cyberpunk type of dude from like back in the day.
Yeah.
He's like the Johnny Silverhand of all times.
Cool. What's your memory that you want to share?
It's the time that he was incredibly denounced a bisexuality.
Okay, yeah, I'm not. I'm sorry. You know, I want people to take this seriously. You know, we're not getting into people's sexuality. We're not, you know, I just had a feeling where that was going, and I'm not going to tolerate it. I'm sorry. This is a celebration. This isn't a debauchery hour here. We got Trump's life coach. How are you doing, dude? We're ready to talk shop. We're hot. We're locked and ready to explode. What's on your mind? Sorry, you're cutting out there a bit.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Just wanted to say I really enjoy than your wrestling show. I haven't really been watching much.
You're cutting out really badly. I'm really sorry. I can't make out what you're saying. Yeah, sorry, fans. I tried to give her a chance, but she was having some kind of issues, so I do apologize for that. We got Cobe Webb Ghoul. Welcome to the show. I don't think we've chatted before. I hope you're ready to talk and celebrate our industry. What's on your mind?
Brother, I've been watching the stream. It's been getting kind of emotional.
I know. For me as well.
Flashback. Yeah, well, I have one question for you. I wanted to ask you your opinion on Bray Wyatt.
Okay, yeah. Do you want me to answer that off the air? Is that all you wanted to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to hear what you have to say about Bray Wyatt.
Sure. Yeah, I'll get into that on the air. So a fan wants to know about Bray Wyatt. Well, first, we got a contribution to read out, and then I will get into that. So we will share that together on the air. We got $6.67. Thank you so much for the new high-end gaming PC. Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate that, dude. So when it comes to Bray Wyatt, I mean, I don't really have much to say. I think when he first came in as Husky Harris, I remember thinking, this guy's kind of different. This is something new, and I was kind of into it. I looked forward to when he would be working on the stage. Clearly, he took it another step. He really kind of became that kind of Undertaker Kane-esque character. He did a lot of interesting stuff, but he also did a lot of crap that I thought was a little step too far, like when he was doing that Firehouse Fun thing and, coming out with Alexa Bliss with the giant birthday present. I thought that was just a little much, and I wasn't a fan of it. But I mean, The Fiend was a really great character. He was trying new and different things, so I give him credit for that. Not really a personal favorite of mine, but I can appreciate his contributions to this industry, and rest in peace to him. Okay, 1 second, we'll get back to the line. We got Silence Deus. How are you doing, brother? Are you hot? Are you ready to talk wrestling? What's on your mind?
Let's go. All right, so my big question for you is, why are you not pursuing a career in wrestling?
Do you see me on the webcam, brother?
Yeah, dude, that's nothing. I mean, come on, guys that look like you can still be out there. You can still you can bulk up.
Oh,
I'm gonna be real.
No, I appreciate your question. I appreciate your question. I appreciate your passion, for that, but I don't really have much to say. I'm not going to have a career in wrestling, but I've tried to get into covering it because I love wrestling. I love talking wrestling. I love celebrating wrestling. But I've done some backyard wrestling. Maybe at some point I'll pull that up and share that with the audience if you guys really want to see some of my backyard wrestling matches from back in the day. But
I genuinely think you should do that. Yes. Again, you should go into just go into a gym, lift a couple of small weights.
Yeah.
Bulk yourself up.
Well, like I said, I got a weight bar set here, and I do about 50 pounds. But that's about the extent of it.
But you're used to that 50 pounds. Go up higher. Go to 75. Go to 100.
Well, I'm not quite there yet. I got to do a lot more work before I get there. But I am where I am. I'm not a fitness guy, but yes, I do have a barbell with some weights, and that's the extent of it. But I'm gonna let you go. But I appreciate your passion.
All right, have a good one.
Yeah, thank you, dude. Appreciate it. Okay, we'll take one more call, and then we'll maybe get back into some memories. We already spoke with this guy. You know what, brother? We did already speak, but I will give you another chance. If you have another question about wrestling, go ahead.
Yes. Listen, you said that tag teams weren't as good and it was just a way to get someone over,
yeah.
To get them in. No. No, we've got the Nasty Boys, we've got the Legion of Doom, we've got great rivalries, we've got people who wouldn't exist without each other,
yeah.
Need each other. And then you set up these special moves like the Legion of Doom. The one used to get the one up on his shoulders, and then the other one used to smash him off. So you need each other for that. And then you've got the Survivor Series where you put two tag teams together, and then they knock each other out one by one. And the tag team, the whole tag team thing is fucking awesome.
Oh, sketch your language.
Effing.
Okay, yeah, no, I'll debate that a little bit. It's just, for me personally, it's just never really. I mean, I've seen some great tag team matches. I mean, a lot of that stuff they were doing in TLC was incredible. But just, I guess, more the era I grew up in, which is the mid '90s to the early 2000s. It's just. There were the greats, but I just never was really that hot. I feel like tag team is more like an 80s, early 90s thing.
Yeah, but it's an art, and it's a special thing. I used to look forward to the tag team matches just as much, if not more, than the singles.
Cool.
The Legion of Doom were the coolest thing in the world. At one point, they came in on motorbikes.
Yeah, I remember that. I seen that clip. It was awesome.
So, like, you know, the Legion of Doom were smashing it. And I don't think if you separate them, I don't think Hawk or Animal is a special wrestler. But together, they're that special force. So
yeah.
I think there is some
do you remember when they broke them apart and they had the one guy going through a drug addiction story and they pushed him off the top of the arena and they brought in a young dude to replace him?
Yeah.
I mean, that was pretty bad.
But then Hawk was actually going through real life, like he went through real life drug struggles.
Yeah.
So like, you know, that kind of messed him up a bit, I guess. Yeah.
Anyway, I appreciate your feedback. I'm sorry if I upset you on my feedback on tag team.
Got to represent, you know, just got to represent those tag teams, and also Ashton's fat. So.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And I'm sorry, you know, if there are fans that are passionate for tag team wrestling, and my take, you know, kind of got you hot, kind of got you boiled up. I'm sorry. So we'll take one more. Like I said, I am getting a lot of calls, but you have to make sure you add me as a friend because they don't show up on the call line. They just go to an inbox. So I'm keeping my eyes on the calls on the line, but I'll see if anybody is. Yeah, see, I'm getting missed calls because you're not adding me as a friend. So I'm sorry if I'm missing people. But just you gotta add me as a friend or I don't get the call on the switchboard. Yeah, see, I missed a bunch of calls. So I'm sorry to those people. Oh, we got one. Welcome to the show. I just caught you, brother. Like I said, make sure you add me as a friend. I don't get the calls on the switchboard. I get them in the DMs. But you are here now. Let's talk shop.
Is this the PWR Army?
Yeah, you got the community itself right in front of you. What's on your mind?
Oh man, this is fucking awesome. Fracking. Sorry, I apologize. Yeah, man. So it's great to see that someone who's into like '90s wrestling. I just got out of a really bad relationship. Not worth the ass anymore. And I started watching old wrestling stuff, and man, it got me motivated, and it. I really love Stone Cold Steve Austin, dude. Yeah. Like, he's kind of like the guy I wish I was.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, wrestling can be such a comfort. It's such an escape. It's fantasy. It's entertainment. It's passion. And I think, you know, there's been a lot of times in my life where wrestling got me into some dark places as well. I agree with that.
Oh yeah, like just watching Stone Cold coming in there and 360 people and doing the stunner on McMahon and on his daughter, his son, the whole family.
Fans were hot for it. Fans were like, you know, breaking merchandise records, and they were coming to the arena and they were celebrating. It was unmatched.
I mean, even today, they say that Stone Cold has the most merch sold worldwide.
It's true.
No one can compete with him.
He's beat out Cena. He's beat out Rock. He's beat out Paul. You know, all the big legends. And yeah, it's unprecedented. They're still selling Austin shirts to this day, even though he's nowhere to be seen in the Federation.
I mean, even today, like, fans are still saying what, and when Stone Cold's not even around, it's great.
Yeah.
Your energy and wrestling's energy just got me out of that bitch's life, you know?
Well, that's your second slip up, dude, so just let's wrap it up
sorry.
here.
I apologize.
It's
I
okay.
apologize. I'm getting really hot, you know, and we're both getting hot. So my question is, I don't know if anyone's asked you this, but how do you feel about the whole McMahon controversy?
Oh, okay, yeah, I'll get into that off the air.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks for your call. So before we get into the McMahon controversy, we got another contribution to call out, so we'll do that first. But I'm not going to go too deep into it, but I'm just going to give my initial off-the-cuff thoughts. So we got $5. Thank you so much. This is... I'm not going to read your name. I want to say we all hate RTU so much in your messages because we hate him restream. Yeah, I mean, at this point, I don't care who restreams me. You guys are here. We're doing our thing. We're having fun. So they can, you know, grasp on the straws all they want. It's not going to boost their career. It's showing that they're not, you know, wanting to innovate and do something new. They're just clout chasing. So, you know, that's where I'm going to leave it. If it's RTU or if it's GTU, PTC, I don't care. We're doing our thing here. So anyway, I'll get into that a little bit because that's a pretty big topic. But like I said, I mean, being a wrestling fan really is a burden, and it's hard to like come out openly and say, I'm a wrestling fan. And I think, you know, that McMahon thing is just another example like that. I think there's been so many times, especially WWE, that have been through so many controversies that stick with us as fans. So when we put ourselves out there and say, you know, I'm a wrestling fan, isn't that, you know, all steroids? Isn't that like sex abuse and all that? Like, so it was really disheartening, you know, a man like McMahon being involved in all that crap. You know, I felt, you know, I was molested, you know, by the company for that, you know, again. You know, and it gets to a point, but we love wrestling. And that sometimes it feels like you're going back to your abuser again. But, you know, you love them, you love it, you're passionate for it. But, you know, I feel, you know, just as much of a victim as the woman he was doing those acts on. And it's hard, you know, it really is challenging. We'll see if we get one more call, because I want to get back into the moments here. So I apologize. That's just my initial thoughts on it. 1 second here. Okay, we got Joshy, and oh, 1 second. I'm going to get to your call, and I apologize. I am getting emotional, but you're here. Let's talk shop, brother. Let's talk wrestling.
Let's get hot. Let's talk shop. But what's got you emotional?
Oh, just talking about that whole McMahon controversy. You know, I'm sorry. I'm not going to get any more into it. Let's get to your question. Let's turn things around.
Okay, well, actually, if you don't mind, that was what my question was regarding.
Okay.
Was Vince, but we can ignore that. But I just want to know, what did you mean by you felt molested?
Okay, I'll get into that off the air. Yeah, okay. Well, like I do. I mean, like wrestling is just such a part of me, and you know, I wanted to be able to look at it as something as positive and something that I want to talk about. But you know, when your favorite hobby or your company is wrapped up in that kind of crap, like, you feel victimized, you know, just as much as the people that went through it, because you're carrying the burden of being a fan, and it's challenging for us to do. So we're going to get back to the main moments here. I'm going to go through two more, and I don't know how far we are in, but we're going to go through more. I'm going to take a quick break to just grab a drink, so stick with me, fans, and we will continue the show. So I hope you guys are enjoying it. I hope you're having fun. I'm going to take like a minute break here, and we'll be right back on the air. So stay tuned for the continuation of the return of the PWR Wrestleline. Thank you. I will be right back. All right, we're back. Sorry, fans. I just had to get a cold drink there. Keep it going. So we're going to get into our next memory here. And they're all random. This isn't like a top, so I'm going to just switch over and see what we're going to talk about next. Oh, man. Just that picture. The split second, that picture came on the screen. I'm getting emotional again. And, you know, this moment is incredibly important to me. I'm incredibly excited to speak on it and, you know, give my thoughts on this incredible moment. I'm trying to hold it together here. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I didn't think I'd get this emotional tonight. But we're going to be talking about the WCW debut of Lex Luger. You know, a groundbreaking moment, you know, for my time. You know, Lex to me, and, you know, this might be controversial. People might be surprised. But, you know, before Hulk Hogan, I knew Lex. You know, he was that Hulk Hogan character to me. Hogan was overdoing his thing in WCW. I was initially introduced to WWF, and, you know, Luger was, you know, that larger-than-life hero. You know, doing that Lex Express thing, and, you know, everything he was doing, working his way to the top of the company. So it was, you know, he holds a lot of memories for me. And I remember, you know, I was watching this show when, you know, without any major announcement, you know, with it was just a total surprise. First WCW Nitro. You know, we got a match in the ring, and the cameras turn. Luger comes out, you know, arms on the hips. He's kind of looking at the crowd and, you know, feeling the energy. And we get that legendary call from Eric Bischoff. You know, what the hell is he doing here? Get the cameras off of him. Like, it was real. You know, it wasn't like a typical wrestling debut. It was just a guy from New York, hot, just coming down and, you know, nodding his head, saying, I'm here. And it was incredible. It was really, actually, I think that this was like the first big debut that I remember, and it's just always stuck in my head. Like I said, I think it really will be a moment that, you know, I'll hold dearly for the rest of my life. It was incredible. You know, he went face to face with Terry, and I think it really built up to those two really coming together and doing something together, you know, in the ring. And, you know, I've been a big Lex Luger fan. You know, he has his controversies, but, you know, look at what's going on now. I mean, he's turned his life to God. He was caring for his ailing mother. You know, he ended up in a wheelchair from the stroke and all that stuff. And, you know, he's come out positively, and, you know, he's kind of done his thing, you know, interacts with the fans. And, you know, finally, he's getting the recognition he deserves, which is that WWE Hall of Fame recognition. And I've been calling for it for years. Many years. You know, why isn't Lex in the WWE Hall of Fame? Because he absolutely should be. And, you know, he's doing that whole thing with the DDP yoga now, and he's you know, trying to improve his life. And, you know, what his goal is, fans, is to stand up out of that wheelchair and walk to that Hall of Fame stage for us. You know, because, you know, that's the amount of respect he has for the fans. And, you know, I'm really emotional. And if any of you remember that legendary music video that Lex did for the Lex Express, you know, I want to give tribute to Lex tonight and sing a portion of that song in solidarity for his incredible Hall of Fame release. So here we go. Always were there, always beside me, holding my hand every step of the way. In these eyes you could do no wrong. In these eyes you were brave and strong. And in my heart those nights go on. You were my hero. Hero. You were my hero. Whoa, whoa. Thank you, Lex. You know, I don't think people give him enough respect for, you know, back in WCW. You know, when he was having people in the torture rack above his head, those arenas were like shaking at their foundations. You know, he was a multiple-time champion over there. And he He's finally getting that recognition. And, you know, I thank, you know, every day you see it on my Twitter. I share Lex's passion, you know, thank God for this day. You know, every day he posts that. And, you know, I retweet it, you know, because that's my level of respect for Lex. So, I'm sorry. I'm trying to hold it together here. I really am. I'm sorry, fans. I'm sorry. Okay. We do have a contribution to call in. I don't want to call it a contribution where I'm almost in tears here, but just a minute. We got $6.60. Thank you so much. Sorry for the tech issues. I don't have a hot young dude to help me. My question was, how do you plan to attract more female fans? Well, it's not about that. It's not about attracting, you know, a certain demographic. You know, I'm gracious. You know, there's men, there's women, you know, there's people of alternative lifestyles that are all embracing this community, that are all embracing this lifestyle brand. So, you know, I try not to discriminate, and like, I don't have a plan to build a female audience, but, you know, I'm glad you guys are here, and I'm glad you're enjoying what we're doing. So we're going to move on to the next moment, and then we're going to take some calls. I'm not sure where we are in the list here, but hopefully I'll just go back to the first one eventually. I think we did 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we're on the 5th one now. I'm not sure. About to go to the 6th. And we're close to about 2 hours, but we're going to keep it going until we get through these moments. So just let me take a breath here. I'm nervous of what's going to pop up next, because I'm already on the verge of tears just thinking of Lex and his history. I'm smiling because I'm just so elated. I'm freaking hot. I'm emotional. This is incredible. You guys are amazing. You know, thank you for giving the Pro Wrestling Reality Wrestleline a chance again. You know, especially the old fans who've been there since 2019, 20, or whatever it was. Anyway, so we're going to switch over. Brother, unbelievable. Unbelievable. I mean, that picture says it all right there. It says it all right there. Eddie, when he finally got the recognition that he deserved, years of passion, years of dedication, you know, he fought his demons, and he finally made it to the top. You know, and got that WWE Undisputed Champion. Now, at the time, just like it is today, they kind of had the 2 shows. So, you know, there was one championship on one show, and there was the other on the other. And I think at this time, you know, Triple H, Paul Levesque was very, you know, heavily featured in that top Raw spot. So I think for a while, that was kind of seen as the top spot. But I mean, Eddie finally got the recognition he deserved. And I think a lot of people don't give him enough credit for how much he really transformed, you know, his character. He always was a really very charismatic, you know, enigma, you know, but I don't think it really caught on until about this 2003 era. You know, he transformed the body. He was working really hard, and he pushed to that next level. And, you know, when he came in and did his thing with Brock Lesnar and ended up winning that title, like, it was incredible. It was a celebration. It was a celebration of Atlanta. You know, WCW. I think it was very much, you know, a recognition that, you know, we're not going to look down on these guys, you know, because they came from somewhere else. You know, they're putting in the work. These were the standouts over there. And they were finally getting their recognition. And, like, it was a great moment. It really was. That's really all I have to say. But, you know, you remember that celebration that he had at WrestleMania 20 with Benoit. That was incredibly emotional as well. And, yeah, I was just so happy at that time because I loved Eddie. I think we all did, you know, everybody. I don't think there was anybody who didn't like Eddie. You know, even though he kind of was on the borderline of like a heel and a face. But those are the greats. Those are the legends, you know, like the people who are that kind of toe the line, like Austin. You know, he was kind of, to me, like almost kind of on that level, like of an Austin, like a badass, you know, has the dark side, but, you know, is kind of like a likable guy. And like I said, you know, when he said that catchphrase, lie, cheat, and steal, I think what he was really saying was, survive, persevere, do whatever it takes. And, God rest up in heaven, Eddie, because, you made an incredible contribution to this industry. And we thank you for that. And, tonight we celebrate it. And thank you. So we're gonna see if anybody else wants to call into the line here. Okay, the lines are open. I gonna accept your guys' requests here. And the lines are back open. So let's get it hot. Let's talk shop. Let's do our thing. Let's celebrate the industry. The lines are open. We got... brother, you're calling in again. I will allow it. What's on your mind, dude?
Thank you. Well, I don't know if you got my message. I am calling from the hospital.
Yeah, I did see that, brother. And, I'm glad you can be here with us. And, keep on pushing forward positively. Keep doing your thing. Keep fighting. Just like I said about Eddie, persevere, survive.
Excuse me. I guess it's better than calling from Kat's fat, ugly.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, yeah, you know what? I don't care if you're in the hospital or not. This isn't what this show is about. This isn't, detractor world order. I'm sorry, but you're blocked. That's not appropriate. That's not how we do things here. And I'm sorry. You got me at a very emotional point. And I'm sorry. I can't do it. Okay, we got let's get a real fan. Let's get a real fan coming forward. Okay, we got Neil. And we've spoken a few times. This is a little different tonight. We're talking wrestling. We're celebrating our industry. Speak on it.
Listen, I just want to say, you gave me the courage to tell everyone I'm a wrestling fan.
I know. Isn't it a liberating feeling to just come out openly and embrace, something that we love?
I love it. I can't get enough of it.
Yeah.
It's the best.
I can tell you're becoming very emotional. It's okay.
I'm tired of I'm mad. It's you. It's you. You lead. I'm following your energy, and I'm in tears too, bro.
Yeah. No. I'm glad. I can really help fans embrace something we love and speak openly about it and share our passion together.
I've been keeping this secret for who knows how many years. I'm scared to tell, it's my passion. It's what I spend all my free time doing. And
all right.
It sucks. I'm so happy. I feel so good.
Thank you.
I love the stream, bro.
All right, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, dude, and thanks for tuning in tonight.
Hey, man, anytime. Have a good night.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, that's the passion of the fans. And that's the reason we're doing this, to go back to the peaks of our youth and, remember these moments together. If we cry, we cry. It doesn't matter, because we're sick of the abuse. We're sick of being, thrown into the corner. Oh, he's a wrestling fan. He's the R word, or he's a loser, or this and that. Oh, it's kind of gay and all this crap. No, it's not. And that's why we're here. And when I get a call like that, it's hard to hold it together. We got Lord Zanin. How are you doing, dude? I hope you're ready to talk wrestling. It's an incredibly emotional night tonight, and I apologize. But what's your question?
No, I understand. No, I was just wanting to say, I really liked what you were saying about Lex Luger.
Yeah. I think he's completely underrated. I think finally he's going to get the recognition that he deserves. But, I've been a fan my whole life.
He is, he's extremely attractive. I really wish he would just sit in my face.
Oh, you sick effing Blake. You sick effing... How dare you talk about Mr. Luger like that? That's disgusting. He's given his life to God. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, fans, but that was disgusting. and you're blocked. If you want to disrespect, a man who gave his body, who's in a wheelchair for this industry, wants to get out of that wheelchair and walk to the stage to celebrate with us fans, you want to disrespect him like that? You're effing out. No, it's not going to be tolerated. Goodbye. And let's see if we got a real fan. We want real fans on the line. Okay, we got Eyes Wide Shut. Welcome to the show, brother. We're here. We're celebrating this industry. What's on your mind?
Get out of my room, Mom. Hello?
Yeah, hi. I couldn't really make out what you said there. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got a freaking piece of butt over here and won't stop nagging me.
Okay, well, what's your question or comment?
Well, I'd like to bring us back to 2004.
Yeah, incredible.
20,
incredible era. Incredible. Like I said, that was like the peak of my childhood, wrestling fandom. So what do you got to say about it?
Me too, brother. Hey, do you remember when Undertaker took on Kane?
Absolutely.
In WrestleMania 20.
Yeah.
Do you remember that match?
I do. Do you want me to speak on it on the air?
Well, may I just share the moment that I remember?
Go ahead.
That I
yeah.
really cherished?
Go ahead.
Well, I believe the Undertaker didn't come out too hot, and he was struggling, and Kane, halfway through the match, threw some powder into the Undertaker's eyes. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
The Undertaker could not see a darn thing, buddy, and he was struggling. Okay? Do you remember that?
Yes. Okay, get your blind joke out of the way, and let's move on to real fans.
Buddy.
Okay, yeah, okay. I know where this is going, and I'm not going to tolerate it. How dare you? Bring me back the memories. I'm ready to talk, and then you go for that freaking blind crap. I really don't care. I don't want this RTU blind daughter crap, in my content. It's not what I talk about. It's not what I cover, and I'm sorry. I'm hot. I'm talking wrestling, and I'm not going to tolerate it. I won't block you, but that's a warning, okay? All right, we'll take one more. Oh, I got some more requests here. Okay, we got a couple more requests because I do want to get into some of the moments. Like I said, this will be a shorter stream compared to what I usually do. But I'm trying to take as many calls as I want. But I want real fans. I demand the real fans to come forward here. Okay, we got Lego Dementa Modi. How are you doing? Are you ready to talk our industry? What is your question or comment?
Actually,
I can't make out what you're saying, dude.
Okay, let me turn off the Bluetooth then.
Yeah, it's a little better now. I'm sorry, dude. You're just completely garbled up. I can't make out a word you're saying. I'm sorry. If you sort your phone issue out, feel free to call back. But I couldn't understand a word he was saying. Let's see if we can get another call. Oh, we do have someone that says he doesn't want to call in, but he wants to give me a prediction on Seth versus Punk and Roman. I'm not really that hot for it. 1 second. I'll take this call first, and then I'll get into that. So we got Blowfish on the line. Dude, I hope you're hot, locked, and ready to explode and ready to celebrate our industry. What is up tonight?
I am hot, dude. And I want to speak of something, you can maybe tell from the retarded way I'm speaking.
Okay, could you what? That's warning one. That's warning one.
Sorry for that one. As Europeans, we often didn't really have access to Raw, so
yeah.
we really could watch back in the 2000s, where it was SmackDown.
Right.
And, I personally had a little bit of an awakening, watching SmackDown late at night, hiding it from my parents because it was so violent.
Right.
But those dudes, with their shirts off, bottled up, they're really...
ready to really get in there and stare each other down at the face and really do their thing together. That's what it was all about.
Doing the thing, they were grappling, they were getting sweaty, and they were
Okay? What's your question?
You know, a couple times there, you know, my hand might have slipped.
Oh my God, you freak! That is absolutely disgusting, and it's not only disgusting, it's offensive to fans, to real fans who, you know, have been fighting all their life. Like I said, being called gay and, you know, oh, that wrestling and those oiled men, and that's not what we're doing here tonight. We're celebrating as real fans. So I do not want to hear that crap, all right? That's abuse. It's abuse against something I love, something I'm, you know, coming forward and speaking with and sharing with. And, you know, it's just not going to be tolerated. I'm sorry. Let's see if we get one more. I'm getting kind of pissed off, to be honest. People are sending me messages. He's wanting to know, do I watch Wrestling Bios? Of course I do. I love that show. I'll just flip through some of these messages. Like I said, a lot of you guys are just sending me calls and not adding me as a friend. So I am missing some people, and I apologize. I'm trying to do my best here. Okay. Yeah, I guess we're down. Nobody else is calling in. I'm accepting a few more requests, but if we don't get any calls, I'm just going to move on. Here we go. You're all accepted. We'll give it another minute. I'm sorry to hold up the show. But I'm getting like a lot of requests and then people just aren't calling in. So I'm not sure what's going on. Let me know if the lines are down. I'm not too sure. If we're having tech issues here, like I said, I'm solo tonight. I don't have a young dude to help me out. So, yeah, it looks like nobody wants to call in. Are you guys good? You want me to move on? Oh, we got someone. We got oh, you just hung up, dude. I was just about to hit your call. We got Fox PT. Welcome to the show. Thank you for calling in. Let's celebrate together. What's on your mind?
Hi, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm really enjoying, you know, going back to my youth and celebrating with other fans. It's been really great.
Yeah, it's really wholesome. I've been watching your stream for a while. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I saw you were crying earlier. What was that all about?
Because, dude, like, these memories and these moments are, like, such huge parts of my life that when I come on and I'm talking and, you know, I get emotional and I'm sorry. You know, I apologize to the fans. I don't want to be like that. I want to... Okay, what's your question?
So, you're a Michael Jackson fan, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's not really what we're talking about here, though. And if you don't have a wrestling question, you're going to get off the line. You'll have to wait and call in.
Doesn't that make you a bit of a weirdo?
Okay, no, I'm not doing it. Goodbye. Good effing bye. It clearly states this is a wrestling show. If you want to talk about Michael Jackson, call into my regular live program. We'll see here. We're getting a lot of calls here, so I'm trying to get to everyone I can. We got Allie on the line. How are you doing? I hope you're ready to, you know, share your memories, talk this industry.
Hello?
How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. Hey, I just wanted to say that song you sang.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Oh, thank you. And that was a tribute to Lex. That was the song they played on his Lex Express hype package. And I just always thought it really represented the history of his career.
Well, it was beautiful. I enjoyed it. I want to see one in the chat if you enjoyed that song and if you love PWR.
Well, thank you, dude. Do you have a question you want to ask or a memory you want to share?
No, not really. I just wanted to say, don't let the haters get you down too much, buddy. We all love you, and have a fantastic show, dude.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad you're here. I appreciate it, dude. All right, cool. He liked my singing. I'm glad that the tribute had other fans as emotional as it had me. A lot of people are asking questions and still, instead of wanting to call in, which is a little hard to get into, and I apologize. Maybe in the future we can do that, but some of the questions are pretty complex and pretty deep, so I'll do my best. We got White Boy at Popeyes. How are you doing?
Brother, good to hear from you.
Yeah, great to have you on the show. Like I said, we're doing something a little different tonight, but the audience is coming out. The audience is responding, celebrating. So what do you want to get into when it comes to wrestling?
I wanted to hear, what's your opinion on Andre the Giant?
Andre the Giant. Do you want me to get off that on the air?
Do I?
Oh, I mean, do you want me to get into that off the call?
Off the call? On the call or off the? Well, actually, I had one more question.
Okay, yeah, ask your questions and then I'll end.
It's a bit of a grilling.
Sorry. Okay, yeah, we'll go with it. It better be about wrestling.
It's about wrestling, brother, for sure.
Go ahead.
I wanna know. It's more about you, Mr. PWR. I want to know when you're going to stop apologizing for being your authentic self.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, like that's kind of a bad habit. It's more like excuse me. When I say I'm sorry, it's almost more like excuse me, I think.
Well, I want to see you stand up for you, my man.
Well, thank you, dude. I appreciate
the fans love you.
I appreciate the kind words, dude. And I'll get into your question here in a second. I'll talk to you again soon.
You, bud.
All right, thank you.
Hi, young boys.
Thank you. I'll be right back. I just gotta grab something. I'll be right back. I apologize. And we'll get back into more calls. So if you want to call, get hot, bring me up. The lines are hot. A lot of great conversation, but I'll be right back. I just got to go grab something here. All right, I apologize. Just a short break there, fans. I apologize. I am back with the PWR Nation. I am back live on the Wrestleline. So we'll take a few more. We'll take one or two more calls because we're about 2 hours in. It kind of went longer than I thought, but I'm having a great time. And let's see what we got. I missed a couple calls, so I apologize. But we're going to go to Stantley. How are you doing, dude? I hope you're ready to celebrate with me tonight.
Hey, buddy. Good to hear from you, man. What's going on today? How are you?
I'm really enjoying the show. You know, celebrating our history, this industry. I mean, I couldn't be happier.
And that's perfect because I actually wanted to ask you a wrestling question.
Sure.
So I'm somebody that doesn't know a lot about wrestling.
Right.
I did read about the Montreal Screwjob on Wikipedia once.
Yeah.
And everything, but I don't know a lot about it. If for us new marks, where would you recommend we start?
For what? For what?
Like just to watch, like if we want to get into wrestling.
I'll try my best to answer that. That's a tough question. That's a good question. I'll let you go and I'll try to get into that.
Of course, yeah, no problem, buddy. Nice to talk.
Yeah, great. Have a great night. That's probably the toughest question I've had. You know, how do I start celebrating this industry, wrestling? The thing that's come to my head is just, you know, find somebody you're interested in, you know, a hot star, you know, that gets you fired up, and, you know, do some research. He mentioned the Montreal Screwjob, so, you know, you could start checking out some of Brett's history. You could start checking out some of Sean's history. I would recommend Wrestling with Shadows documentary. It's like a great, I've watched it like 10 times or more. It's a great documentary on the behind the scenes of the whole Screwjob thing, and who knows? We could get into that more. So we'll take one more call and then we're going to move on to the next moment. Who do we got here? I'm just accepting a few requests, so I apologize, guys. We got Jay. Oh, I just missed his call. 1 second here. Jay, welcome to the show. Are you ready to talk wrestling?
Hey, brother, I am. I don't know much about wrestling, but I'm enjoying the show.
Thank you.
Got cut off last call a little while ago. I'd love to hear more about why 2004 was so special for you.
Okay.
And do that off the air, and I just wanted to say keep going. We all love your content. Be yourself. Don't let the haters get to you. You're doing a great job. We all enjoy your content.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, 2004 was just such I mean, it was a pivotal time in my life, you know, kind of growing up, getting a little bit older, being a wrestling fan, you know, most of my life. And like I said, I just kind of was in that mood where I was just like, I don't know if I want to be known as the wrestling guy, you know, anymore. So, it was just like an incredible climax. And I think, you know, if you really look at the original era, like from WrestleMania 1 to WrestleMania 20, you know, it was kind of the culmination of everything that era standed for. In my opinion, it was kind of like the end of what I consider the original era, which would be about WrestleMania 1 until WrestleMania 20. So yeah, 2004 is an incredible, pivotal, you know, point in my life when it comes to this industry. And in the meantime, before we get back into the memories here, excuse me, we do have a contribution to read out, so we will do that. Thank you, fans. $5, thank you so much. I didn't mean to offend you. Okay, yeah, I'm not going to read that. I do appreciate your comment, dude, but that comment about Lex Luger sitting on your face was incredibly disrespectful. Especially with, you know, how, you know, emotional I am right now heading into WrestleMania with Lex finally getting the recognition he deserved. And I think you could tell I was emotional. And I feel like you just said that to get me, you know, pissed off. So who knows, in the future, maybe I'll think about unblocking you. But like I said, we run a pretty tight ship here. And, you know, abuse and bullying is not going to be tolerated. And I'm sorry, but I do appreciate your contribution. All right, let's get into our next memory here. Well, 1 second. I forgot my drink. I'll be right back. I'm so sorry. I just had to go grab my drink. I'm really sorry, guys. I am back. So we're going to hit the next arrow and see where where, you know, history takes us next. Incredible. I mean, the audience already brought it up. The audience, like, somebody called in and wanted me to get into it. I knew it was coming. So I wanted to kind of hold my breath on what I had to say because I got to try to keep this short. But another absolutely pivotal moment, you know, of my youth, of my life, was the feud between Shawn and Bret. You know, it was just like incredible. To this day, I think nothing more was true to life than the heat that these two men had with each other. I mean, there was real heat there. It wasn't storyline. It was, you know, real heat. You know, Bret was really from that older generation. You know, he actually, I think a lot of people miss this and are surprised, but, you know, when you're getting into 96, 97, 98, you know, Bret, he didn't like, you know, the direction that wrestling was going. You know, you had Shawn Michaels coming down, pulling the pants down, and he was doing the Playboy or the Playgirl or whatever it was, and, you know, he was a very openly, you know, alternative guy. And, you know, Bret was hard about it. He didn't like it. He didn't want his children watching it. And, you know, he spoke openly about it. You know, he made, you know, references, you know. I don't know how to carefully say this, but, you know, he hinted at the audience that Shawn Michaels was living that LGBTQ2+ lifestyle. And, you know, Shawn just came out and said, you know, you can't be mad at me just because I live my life openly and freely. And, you know, they had heat. And it really culminated in that, what that caller said, which was the Montreal screw job, where, you know, Bret, it's hard because with Bret, I think in a way, like, Bret took it too seriously. Like, he thought he really was this, like, gold level athlete. And he was a great wrestler. He was a great character. And fans responded, but I think Shawn, you know, had more of the mentality that this was entertainment, that it was, you know, wrestling, it wasn't the Olympics, and I think those two clashed about that. You know, Bret really thought he was the better top athlete, but, you know, Shawn, I think, just encapsulated, you know, what the WWE was. And brother, if you go back, you know, and you know, back to 97, and you get the tape and, you know, watch that Montreal screw job. I mean, that heat in that arena was as simmering as you can get. The fans were all standing, all hot. you know, not knowing what was going to go on. And, you know, they did the whole thing. It's hard to explain to outsider fans, but, you know, they did an off-script pin where, you know, Shawn Michaels hit the sharpshooter on Bret, and the bell was called, and, you know, Bret broke into a rage and was spitting on McMahon and putting up the middle finger and, you know, trashing the arena, and, like, people were emotional. You know, that was his home country. You know, that was, you know, his audience. And it was really a shame that they did that to him. Like I said, if you want to hear more about the story, because it's probably the greatest true-to-life story in wrestling, check out the Wrestling with Shadows documentary. Even Bret said he felt like he was RAPE $, right in the middle of the ring by the company. He said that himself. He was like, I'm not going to get in that ring and let them RAP $, me. And he was very passionate. And, you know, he didn't like the direction the WWE was going. They couldn't come to terms, you know, on what Bret wanted. He wanted creative control. He wanted all this stuff. But I just think he took himself a little too seriously compared to Shawn, who I think was really a WE guy. He knew, like, what WE was. And, you know, it just wasn't his time to step down. And I think Vince seen Bret as kind of the old guard. Even though they kind of came up around the same time, you know, for whatever reason, Vince wanted to go with Shawn. You know, there's all these allegations that they were running around together in the back. Nothing's been confirmed. But that's just my take on it. I mean, it's an incredibly, somebody said Bret had a $20 million contract and it wasn't enough. You know, he wanted to be the champion. Like, that's the issue, though, is Bret, I think, just took wrestling, like, too seriously. And I know people are going to be hot at me saying that, but I think the real fans know exactly what I'm talking about. But it's a really complicated story. It's really detailed. Like I said, if you're interested in the whole thing, it would be highly recommended. Check out Wrestling with Shadows. It's one of the best wrestling documentaries you'll ever watch. And it's emotional. It's incredible. That's all I'm really going to say on it, because it's a really complicated topic. But that whole feud, for me, when I was watching as a young fan, like, really meant something. It was real. Like, it was as real as anything's ever been. So I would definitely, if you're interested, check out that history, because it's incredible. It's unbelievable. And I think it shows the passion, you know, and really you get a look behind the curtain on what really goes on in our industry behind the scenes. I mean, you're not just going out there and doing moves. There's egos, there's big money involved, there's, you know, your youth being challenged when a younger dude steps up. You know, it's incredible. All right, so we'll get into another moment. I think we're getting close to the end. I'm not sure. Let's see what we got. Oh, this is incredible. And this is something a little different, but this was always a moment. I don't know how much I'm going to say about it, but this is a moment that always really stuck out to me. A lot of fans know the Dudley brothers, Dudley boys, or whatever they're called. And, you know, they had a lot of success. You know, they came up in Philadelphia. They got over to WWE. They had a little bit of heat for a while, but they became a staple there. You know, with the whole get the tables thing and, you know, doing kind of hardcore. You know, they were characters and the audience responded. But I always felt personally that Bubba Ray was the character. But Devon Dudley was like the workhorse of the two. And I think people seen that for a long time. And, you know, personally, I've always said this for years. You know, Devon was so much more than just getting the tables. He was an incredible worker. I think he was a likable guy. I think he carried the team, you know, when it came between what was going on in the ropes. So when I got back into the wrestling, you know, when I was watching TNA, Devon was finally getting some recognition. They kind of pushed him a little bit. He was getting a singles run. He was doing his thing. And it built up to this incredible promo that he did that I think really showed, you know, he was so much more than just tables and, you know, the Dudley brothers, because they did a really powerful storyline where the sons were brought in. The Devon sons were brought in. And, you know, he was kind of showing them the ropes and helping them come up. And there was this young dude, the Pope D'Angelo, who was kind of slipping in there. And, you know, he was the cool dreadlock guy with the chains and all this stuff. And the sons were really gravitating towards him. And he was pushing them, you know, to not listen to their father, to go out there and do their thing and not listen to Devon. And brother, Devon got hot. He came in there, found his sons, and was yelling and screaming like, what the hell do you think you're doing? What the hell do you think you're doing? I call the shots here. I tell you what to do and when to do it. And you're gonna listen to me. And brother, like when he did that performance, I was like, there's your leading man. Like he just completely blew it out of the water. He showed that he had skills. He showed that he could bring emotion. And it was incredible. And brother, when he put that finger up, like in the picture, and he said, you know, you better get out of here before I do something that I regret. I was hot. I was like, finally, you know, they're really letting this guy have an opportunity to show character, to show emotion. And I thought it was an incredible moment. Just a minute, because we did get a contribution. Let's read that out. We got $13.28. Thank you so much. Shout out my girlfriend, Brittany, as a loyal and valued member of the PW Army. She loves you, homie, and we're going to be supporters for a long time to come. Well, that means a lot. Like I said, that's what it's all about. Like I said the other day, we had a fan telling me how, you know, his wife is always telling him to turn that YouTube crap off, but when the PWR is on, you know, she's kind of coming out of the kitchen or coming upstairs, downstairs, whatever it is, and saying, you know, is he on tonight? So that's incredible. But anyway, I don't have too much more to say about this moment. It's just always really stuck with me because I was always a really big fan of Devon, and I thought he could be doing so much more. And this was just a small little taste of the range that I thought he had. And we'll take a break because we're going to take a few more calls because I think we are getting close to the end of the show, if I'm not mistaken. I think we have 2 left. I'm not sure. So if we have 2 left, we'll take some calls now. And then we'll try to end the show off with a few calls to take us home. So let's see what we got. We got 5 notifications. Let's see if we got some fans who want to speak openly tonight. Okay, we got call. Like I said, call in. I'm waiting. Lines are wide open, but I got a lot of requests. So let's get it going here. Okay, we got Tuta XBT, welcome to the program. We're going down memory lane tonight. We're talking wrestling. What's on your mind?
I want to share my personal experience with wrestling.
Sure.
I became a fan of wrestling in mid school.
Yeah.
I have a similar history to you. I struggled when I was young with wrestling.
Yeah.
Not necessarily because of me, but the shame that people would give you.
Exactly. I mean, we do carry such a burden, you know, being fans. So I totally get that, and I'm glad you come forward and are speaking about it.
I don't know when you started becoming a wrestling fan, but once I got into high school, it was a big shame that people would bring on me. I think you mentioned on the podcast, you know, people would frequently, like, I would share wrestling with people and they would just call me gay and things like this.
Yes, exactly. I suffered with that for a long time. I mean, you come into the classroom and you open up your WWF magazine and, you know, you have all these people calling you gay. And I mean, it was challenging, but we loved it. And tonight we're here celebrating it openly, and we don't care, you know, what people think of what we like.
People kept shaming me because they kept telling me it's fake fights.
Yeah.
Oh, buddy, it's so many things.
Well, you know, thank you for sharing your experience. Is that all you wanted to say tonight?
I wanted to thank you for doing this.
No problem.
I used to watch Smart Guys.
Yeah, me too.
Your show is great.
Yeah, well, thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying the show, and it was great chatting with you. Incredible. I was getting almost kind of emotional because, like, we a lot of fans, I think we share that same history. You know, it's a very challenging thing to put out into the open, and tonight is a celebration of it. We got Mr. Norton on the line. How are you doing? We are talking wrestling tonight. What is on your mind?
I just wanted to provide an alternate kind of point of view to, you had a couple guys calling in sexualizing wrestling.
Yeah, disgusting.
Well, I mean, you said yourself that, the girls back in the day with the hypersexualization, kind of did something to you that wasn't right.
Yeah.
I think the same thing happens with the homosexual community. They see these greased up guys. What are they going to think?
Okay, I'm not even going to go there. I'm not going to respond to that. Clearly he was trying to rope me into some nonsense, and I'm sorry. I'm not playing into it. So we got Hot Boy. How are you doing, brother? Welcome to the show. We're celebrating wrestling tonight. We're going to say the word wrestling. What's on your mind?
Wrestling. Yes. Yes. You know what? They've been shaming me ever since I was a little boy because I love wrestling. And this is something I've always had to hide, and I'm tired of it, brother.
Yeah.
We are here, and we love wrestling.
Yeah, you're in the right place tonight. You're in the right place tonight. I'm glad you can be in the live arena with us.
Yes. You know what? I used to have to hide the things I was into, but now I'm proud. I'm super proud, and I will not hide this anymore. I love who I am, and I love... Okay, yeah, I appreciate the passion, but I was just starting to feel, he was getting a little too silly for me. But, like, if this show helps more fans, come out, and celebrate openly, that's what it's all about. So I do appreciate your call, but it was just getting a little too silly there for me. We got WCW. I like the name, brother. What's on your mind? We're talking shop tonight. What's up?
Hey, so I just want to express my feelings on, you were talking about wrestling and whatnot,
yeah.
And how people make fun of people, saying, if you're into wrestling, you're a homosexual.
Yeah.
Well, my biggest thing is, the people that see it like that are probably just in the closet themselves, because I grew up, I'm in a Midwest town, and I've never, when I watched wrestling, I seen it for entertainment.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see it any different than, putting on the Schwarzenegger film.
Yeah. But it's the one thing I do understand is, I do feel like during the Raw era and whatnot, the Attitude Era, that the over-sexualization of the female character,
yeah.
I will admit that I think that was just more or less to sell.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, you know what they say, blank sells, and they were really pushing that.
But I also think that the reason why Raw pushed that so hard too is because they were obviously losing to the more superior company at the time,
yeah.
known as WCW.
I agree with that.
Because really honestly, I can remember more moments from WCW of great matches, like Sting versus Hogan,
yeah.
even though his title match was a non-pay-per-view, and then he got ripped off by Hulk Hogan by losing it the next night.
Right. I mean, they didn't book very well, but they created a lot of incredible moments while they were hot.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I just feel like that it's people, because people will say that all the time. I feel like if they don't like it, it's the old term they always say, oh, that's gay. That's
right.
Totally gay. And it's it's not really. It's just more or less you just wanting to disagree strongly, but use a very derogatory term on it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And like I said, that's why we're here. We're celebrating. We're saying, here I am. I'm open. This is what I like, and this is what I'm passionate about. So I want to thank you for your call, and I want to thank you for sharing your history.
All right. I mean, I just, I feel like, it's like if there is, like, people that look at it, I mean, I'm not sure on 100% on what your lifestyle is. I mean, if you find those guys attractive, that's your thing,
Right.
But it doesn't make everybody who enjoys the sport, homosexual.
Right. Okay, I'm going to end it there. I appreciate your call. But yeah, I mean, we're getting a lot of people coming forward with the same story. And that's kind of why I wanted to do this. I thought it'd be great, to have real fans coming forward, talking about the challenges, talking about the memories of celebrating this industry. So let's get to another caller here. I'm sorry, some of the calls are going a bit long, so I'm missing some people. Okay, we got Free Woo. Welcome to the show, dude. We are talking wrestling tonight. What is on your mind?
What's up, PWR? So I have a question for you.
Sure.
Who do you think the best wrestler was, and why was it Stone Cold Steve Austin?
Well, John, is there anything else you want to say, or I can answer that off the air?
Well, if you go back to the Attitude Era and you watch when that glass broke.
Oh, yeah.
How
the energy was just incredible. And that theme song, the way he walked down and he's looking at the audience. And I mean, nothing matched it then.
So you didn't have any highlights of the Kane and Undertaker feud. Were you not that into it?
Well, like I said, I mean, maybe we'll do another episode. These were just, like I said, this isn't like my top 10 of all time. These are just some moments that just kind of stuck out that, I wanted to talk about. So maybe in the future, I'll get to that stuff.
What was your favorite Kane and Undertaker moment?
Like that other caller said, honestly, it's a little later, but probably WrestleMania 20, because there was so much history. Mark was doing his American Badass thing, and he changed his character, but when he came back, it was just a flood of nostalgia. And when him and Glenn did their thing together, it was an incredible throwback.
Bro, the Undertaker burying Kane, and then Stone Cold burying the Undertaker has to be one of the top 10 wrestling moments of all time.
Cool. Well, I'm glad that you're celebrating your memories with us tonight. But I am going to end the call because we got a lot of calls. So I appreciate your call tonight, brother.
Later.
All right, take care. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. I've never been I like Undertaker, but as you guys can notice, he's probably not one of my favorites, but I like Undertaker. He's just, I don't know. Let's see. We'll take one more. We got Russell. Welcome to the show. How are you doing, dude? We're celebrating our industry tonight. What's on your mind? Okay, he's not answering. I apologize. If he was having issues with his system. I can't help that. Okay, we got Dim Tooley. What is on your mind when it comes to wrestling tonight?
I'll just be honest. I don't care about wrestling, but you're the best. I think you're the best. I think we need some more likes and subscribes. Share this link to your friends and family. PWR is the greatest streamer on the planet. So let's just give him the most support. He's the best. So
thank you, dude. I appreciate it. I'm gonna move on, but I appreciate your kind words.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. No problem. I appreciate it. We'll take I'm just getting hot because we're getting a lot of calls, but I got to continue on. Welcome to the show. Brother, we are celebrating tonight. What's on your mind? What are your memories?
Hey, PWR, long-time listener, first-time caller.
Cool.
It's really nice being able to get a hold of you, man.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you could be part of the show. Like I said, we're doing something a little different tonight, but I'm glad you guys are enjoying it.
Hey, so I just wanted to know real quick. So you have Stone Cold Steve Austin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows Stone Cold, right?
Yeah.
But you also have The Rock.
Yeah.
And the People's Champion. So you got also Triple H too, yeah?
Yeah. Big
so,
Paul guy. I'm a huge Paul fan.
A Paul fan. Okay. So you got The Undertaker too?
Yeah.
And you kind of have he had that thing going with Kane where there was The Undertaker, but then he also had Kane.
Yes.
So I was just kind of wondering, like, you know, Shawn Michaels?
Yeah.
Like, you were talking about Shawn Michaels earlier, actually, right?
Yes.
So you have, like, Shawn Michaels, but you also have Kurt Angle.
Okay. Like, I'm sorry, I appreciate your call, but I just, what's your question?
Well, I mean, I was just wondering, like, so you got Edge too, yeah?
Right.
So, like, so if you're in the ring, right?
Yeah.
So you've got Edge in the ring with, like, probably Chris Jericho back then. It would have been, like, Chris Jericho too. So, like, if you got Edge, you got Chris Jericho. I mean, let's just go 3D, right?
Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize. Like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut him off, but I appreciate your call. I appreciate your contribution, but you're not really going anywhere. You're just throwing out names, and you're throwing out incredible legends. But the call just wasn't going anywhere. I tried to let him go as long as he could, but no disrespect, and I won't block you, Mealworm Jim. But it's just, you know, you weren't really going anywhere, and I apologize for that. I no ill will towards you. It's just I'm hot. I'm ready to, you know, answer questions, celebrate our industry, but it just wasn't going anywhere. Let's see. We got I Eat Onions, ready to celebrate our industry. He's on the line. What's on your mind?
Hey, your show is awesome, but do you remember when Matt Hardy and Edge had that beef because Lita cheated on Matt?
Brother, absolutely. I remember.
Yeah. And then Edge and Lita had the live sex celebration.
That was really disgusting. I think that was a really shameful moment in WWE because clearly there was children in the audience when they did that crap.
Yeah, it got me hot.
Yeah. Any question?
No, the house always wins.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Okay, goodbye. Yeah, I was going to get into that. Maybe I'll save that for another time because he just reminded me of something I'd love to talk about. The heat between Edge and Lita and Matt Hardy. You know, the cheating allegations. You know, I'll just get into it now. You know, Edge, you know, was, you know, slipping into I guess at that time, the answering machine messages. He was leaving all these messages, you know, for Lita. And, you know, Matt found them. And he got hot. And, you know, he said it himself. You know, he went right up to Lita and said, you know, pack your bags and get your ass out. You know, and that was that. And it was really shameful. You know, I had heat with Adam, you know, for a long time over that. You know, I was like, how could you have done that? It's disgusting. It's despicable. And, you know, Matt suffered for it. You know, he was thrown out of the company, you know, basically because of it. So it looks like calls have died down. I've accepted a few more. We'll take one more and then we'll get back into the rest of the memories. So let's see. Okay, welcome to the show, but you're not calling in. Okay, if we got no calls, I'll just get back into sharing the history. So I'll give it a couple more seconds. Okay, we got Jeremy calling in. How are you doing, brother? What is your memories? What's your question about wrestling tonight?
Dude, I've been waiting to talk to you. How have you been?
I'm good. I'm really enjoying the show tonight and chatting with you guys. It's always great.
Loves it. It's been great. But yeah, I know people have been mentioning him in the chat, so I just kind of wanted to get your take on Jim Cornette, because I feel like some people might think that you're a fan, but some of your tweets, I think they might be surprised to know that you kind of have some heat with them yourself.
Yeah, I do. I'll get into that off the air if that's your question.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, have a good one. Man.
Yeah, thank you. When it comes to Cornette, like, I'm not hot for him at all. I think, you know, if you go on YouTube and watch him talk about something or a moment or something for like 10 minutes, like, that's fine. But I think his show is just completely lowbrow debauchery. And you know, he's just a hot air windbag. And, you know, I don't get it. I know a lot of people really like his takes on wrestling. It's not for me. And what really disturbed me was when he shared this tweet of, you know, a father with a baby, putting his baby in front of the TV and putting Cornette on, and you hear Cornette ranting and yelling and swearing, and I was like, what, how could you do that to your child? You know, just for clout or just for a retweet, you subject your baby and your children to that crap? I didn't agree with it, and right then I was like, I have no interest in anything that man says, and I don't listen to him, so I'm sorry. 1 second. Okay, I'm going to call this guy back. Okay, I did get you. I'm sorry I missed your call. You said you were having some technical difficulties behind the scenes. We got you on the air now.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Now? Okay, great. I was going to tell you, like, the first time I saw wrestling, like, I thought it was going to be so stupid because, like, all my uncles and stuff were watching the Great American Bash.
Right.
And they're like, Hogan's going to be there. And I was like, this is so retarded. And then Hogan just, like, flipped the script on everybody.
Yeah.
And NWO started.
Okay.
And that really set that was a perfect launch point for me, I think.
Oh yeah, I mean it was an incredible moment. You know, I could see a lot of fans really getting into our industry, you know, just on that event alone, that moment.
Yeah, and like it made me like Sting a lot, but he totally botched that Starrcade stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I just think it was a hot moment. It was probably the biggest moment WCW ever put on the stage, and they just completely, you know, overbooked it and turned it into garbage.
Yeah, and like Bret Hart was there for some reason. They wanted to implement him, but it just didn't work. It's like the whole thing was just. It was the moment he was supposed to stick, and he lost it.
Yeah.
It was a tragedy.
Yeah, I agree. That was pretty much the downfall of the company right there. You know, after that, you know, things were never the same. I think 99 was a decent year, but really, I mean, after that 97 Starrcade going into 98, like, they had no chance.
Yeah. That is actually when D-Generation X started coming up, right?
Yes, I agree. I am going to end the call. I appreciate it. I am having a little bit of trouble hearing you, but feel free to call in anytime.
Hey, man, thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, no problem. I hope you have a great night. Okay, so that was another round of calls. I'm going to take a break, and I'm going to get on to the next moment. So I'll take a look at the chat here, because I feel bad, because mostly I knew this was going to be chatting. I had a lot of stuff I wanted to cover. So I'll answer a few chat questions if you guys got them. Let's see what you got. Who's hot for Goldust? I always thought he was a really controversial, creative character. Actually, I remember when I was a kid, I was being babysat by like an elderly neighbor. She was very religious, and I was watching wrestling, and Goldust came out, you know, with the hair and, you know, sticking his tongue out and rubbing his chest. And I remember that neighbor turned that show off. And, you know, called my mom and said, oh, he was watching this, you know, I don't know what she said, but, you know, I think my mom explained it, oh, it's just wrestling or whatever. She had no idea what it was, and she was all upset. But that always really stuck with me. You know, that I always felt that was like the power of the characters over there at the time. So, yeah, I'm a Goldust guy. How overrated is The Rock? I think he kind of is. I think he does have a lot of charisma, but I don't think he touches Shawn Michaels. Like he's another guy who I think understands the entertainment side of it. But I've never really been a big Rock guy, to be honest. I just something. Like, I think he's a decent wrestler. He was better in the early years than like in the 2000s, but nah, I've never been a big Rock guy. Who's better, Austin or Rock? Austin. No friggin' question. What do I think about The Undertaker losing the streak? Not really much. Like I said, I'm not the biggest Undertaker guy. I don't not like him. I think he's a great wrestler, great character, a lot of great memories. But at that time, I mean, so many years had gone by. If they would have did it earlier, like, I don't know, in the mid-2000s or something, I think it would have been more meaningful. But it didn't do much for me. The Rock's heel arc was pretty good. I mean, he was a better heel than... Oh, yeah, like, actually, that is true. That whole heel run, if you're talking about what he's doing in the last year or so, has just, honestly, I think it's been some of the best work of his career. Honestly. Did you agree when Bret Hart punched Vince after the Montreal Screwjob? Honestly, I think that was a little too far. Like I said, I just think Bret took wrestling way too seriously. And, he was making good money. He was, prominently featured. If he would have stayed, he probably would have had a better career than he did when he went to WCW and was being slammed on his head and kicked in the face by Goldberg and all that stuff. Would have probably never happened. And we probably would have got a lot of more memories with Bret through the 2000s. He could have worked with Angle. Could have worked, with Austin again. Just forget about it. I think he should have, I think he just took it too far. Yeah, La Parka is pretty cool. I like him. I mean, he was just kind of what he was, but he was really cool. He had a cool character, and his costume was awesome. Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, people don't understand. It was Bret's life. Like, his whole family was wrestling. So I kind of understand why he took it so seriously, but it's hard when you come up that way and then you get into the big times and you have to realize, this is entertainment. This isn't the Olympics. This isn't a legitimate sport. It is entertainment. And I just feel like he got the lines crossed in that. Okay, so I'm going to go to my next moment here. I like chatting with the chat, but we're going about 3 hours here, so we're going to do what we can, and we're going to continue on. So what is next? This is a big one. Every time, like I said, these are some moments I was really passionate about. This is a big one. We're talking Triple H, Paul Levesque, and Cactus Jack McFoley doing their thing on the Royal Rumble 2000 stage. Now, I think this was an absolutely pivotal point for WE. Paul was getting a lot more influence. And what I think, happened this night was Paul, he took, things from other companies that were getting hot. He took ECW, he took FMW, a lot of that stuff that was circulating through tapes all through the world, excuse me, and he brought it to the WWE stage. He took the best parts of ECW, him and Foley both, they took that hardcore brawling style and they brought it to the WWE main event stage, and I thought it was incredible. I've always been a big Triple H fan. I mean, his matches back in the day were always heavy hitting. They were brawls. There was weapons involved. There was going in the back, and I was a big Triple H fan, but I was younger. I think a lot of people who were older didn't really think he deserved to be in that spotlight. But again, this was the moment that kind of solidified Triple H as a top guy. And it was an incredible match. I don't really have much more to say about it than that, but great match. If you guys haven't seen it, check it out. I'm sure the real fans have. And I'm getting emotional again because I'm just remembering, I had this Triple H tape as a kid that I must have watched 100 times, because I just loved his style. I loved his matches. I loved the intensity. I loved the passion. And this was the night, I think, that, Paul solidified that spot in the company. So we're going to move on to the next one. And we got, this is a cool one. This isn't anything too major, but I've always loved this moment. This is the whole Goldberg arrested storyline. And we will get, 1 second, because I think we did get a contribution I'm going to shout out. Yep, we did. And we got $6.64. Thank you so much. Hey, brother, absolutely love the show. I'm a young dude who grew up with John Cena, and this is his last year wrestling, so I'm going to get emotional. Yeah, I could imagine younger fans probably would. How did you deal with the Heartbreak Kid retiring in 2010 when he had the match? It was incredible because, like I said, I mean, I think, Shawn's second career was even more heartbreaking than the first, and no one expected it. When he came back in 2002 to do his thing with Paul, we all thought it was going to be a one and done, but he went another 8 or 9 years. But at that time, I just got back into wrestling, so as emotional as I was, I mean, I didn't think too much of it at the time because I was just kind of getting back into things. But as a young fan, just cherish the memories, enjoy every moment of John, being out there doing his thing for the fans before he goes away. Just enjoy it and just know, these are the memories, 10 years from now, I'm going to remember and I'm going to celebrate. Okay. So I'm going to get into this. This is just really quick. I've always loved Goldberg, and I know I get a lot of flack for that, but a lot of people don't understand. When I was a kid and I'm watching Goldberg, it was like the most realist wrestler that I remember. Like, he had intensity, came out blowing the smoke and that great theme music, and he would come in, he was, you know, slamming guys that were like 500 pounds. He had the streak going on. It was as real as it ever got for me at that time. And I was a huge Goldberg fan. Like, I still am. You know, a lot of people say he can't work, he doesn't have a character. But I always thought that this moment, and I don't know how many people are familiar with this, but they did this whole storyline. I think this was in 99, where, you know, Goldberg was accused of stalking Miss Elizabeth around the arena. And, you know, it was some whole thing they were trying to make of Goldberg not being able to fight in the match or something. But they did this really powerful segment where, you know, the police, a whole group of police, you know, corner Goldberg, tell him that he's going to have to go down to the station. And, you know, he gets right in their face. You see him in the picture pointing his finger. And he was saying, you know me, John. You know, I do things for the community. I do things for kids. I do things for the fallen cops. This isn't who I am. You know, this is all bull crap. And, you know, he stands firm. He believes that he had nothing to do with this crap he was being accused with. And, you know, the police just plainly tell him, Bill, you're going to have to come with us. And, you know, he gets hot. He's slamming his fist on the door, and he's saying, you know, I'm not going down for anything that I didn't do, and, you know, that I'm being wrongly accused, and, you know, if you want to take me in, it's going to take every gun you got, every set of handcuffs you got, because, you know, nobody's going to, you know, accuse me and arrest me for something I didn't do. And I was like, this guy has the potential to be a leading man. Like in an action film, you know, kind of doing that whole, like, where's my family? You took my family type of thing. And that I was like, there's your range. There's your character. And I just always loved it because I thought it was a great celebration that said, you know, Goldberg was so much more than the spear and the jackhammer. He really had passion and he could really get the fans emotional. And I've just always loved that moment. It gets me hot. You know, if I had to go face to face with the police ever again, you know, I'm going to take a page from Goldberg's book. So what do we got next? Okay, fans, we have gone through the moments that I wanted to speak about. So I want to thank you guys so much. Before we end the show, I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes because I'm going to take a few more calls and then I'm going to get out of here. We're close to the 3-hour mark. I really only expected to maybe go an hour or so, but I want to give the fans an opportunity. If you want to talk wrestling before I got off the air, we'll do that. And I thank you guys for being here. I hope you enjoyed the show. Let me know if you'd want me to do more of this in the future. Like I said, I put out the poll. I wasn't sure if fans wanted me to talk wrestling anymore, but you guys came out and you celebrated with me, and I think we had a great time. I'll keep my eye on the chat and see what you guys think, but in the meantime, we're going to go to the Discord, and we're going to take a few more calls to end the show. One second. Okay, we got Russell on the line. Take us home. Share your memories. What's on your mind?
Hey, PWR. I just wanted to say, first of all, I appreciate your positive content, your community, you know, everything you've offered to the digital space so far. I just wanted to ask, you know, I am a similar age to you. You know, I'm 34, so I grew up with WWF before it became WWE, etc. While WCW as well was popular. I just wanted to ask you, you know, I didn't have a particular memory to share. You know, I grew up watching wrestling with my grandpa, so it's very, very sentimental to me, very valuable to me, you know, as a memory. But I just want to ask, you know, I grew up with, like, you know, characters like Sting, Goldberg, Booker T, Scott Steiner, you know, NWO with Kevin Nash, Hulk Hogan, and X-Pac.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask you, you know, in particular, and again, just wanted to say I'm the biggest fan. My girlfriend and myself watch you know, every stream.
Yeah, incredible. I'm glad I can, you know, give you guys something to watch together.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. I love your content. I love the positivity. You know, I'll be honest, I was a former DSP watcher, Kino Casino enjoyer, and you are you're toppling both of them, bro.
Thank you.
As far as your content goes and you know what you have to offer. So anyhow, back to you know, I don't want to waste too much of your time. I was just going to ask you, you know, given the elements that I presented to you, you know, being a WCW, WWF fan, I was wondering if you had, you know, Goldberg was, I won't say he's my favorite, but I'm going to say he probably is. I was just wondering if you had any favorite moments from those very, very old days.
I absolutely do. I absolutely do. I'll get into that. I want to thank you for your call.
Yes, sir.
So he's asking me my favorite Goldberg memory. And, you know, besides what I just talked about, I mean, nothing can compare to that hot 1999 Atlanta night where, you know, Terry and Goldberg went face to face, did their thing together in there, and, you know, world title on the line. And brother, when Goldberg pointed to the air and he got Terry up and he hit that freaking jackhammer, like the wrestling world like was shook to its foundations. And I think it solidified, you know, Goldberg is a top guy. He won the title that night, and brother, that's another moment like I would give my life for if I could. Okay, yeah, great question. I'm gonna do about another few minutes. Once it hits 3 hours, I think we're gonna get out of here. So if you guys want your calls in, this is the last call. The last chance, I guess I should say. Hold on, I'm trying to accept your call, but it's not working. 1 second here. Welcome. You are taking us home tonight, brother. What's on your mind?
I was gonna say, do you remember like the rivalry with Kane and like the Edge or whatever?
No, actually, that was kind of when I wasn't really watching, so that's not something I'm too familiar with.
Eddie Guerrero and like the Big Show.
Yeah, I remember that.
Do you remember when like Eddie Guerrero brought out like a dump truck full of shit and like?
Watch your language, please. Watch your language. But I do remember that, and it was pretty disgusting, but it was pretty funny.
That was crazy. Yeah, I thought you remember that. All right, it was nice talking.
All right, take care, dude. Thanks for being a part. I mean, he did swear, but that was what happened. Eddie came out with the poop truck and, you know, sprayed Big Show right in the arena. I mean, that is funny. I kind of forgot about that until he mentioned it. Let's see. Do we got any other callers? Like I said, I'm missing people because you're not adding me as a friend, so I'm sorry. We'll get you here. We got Jay Stryker. Like I said, brother, make sure you add me as a friend, but we got you on the line. You're going to be taking us home tonight here. What's on your mind when it comes to wrestling?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, great. I just want to say props to you, man. I used to stream quite a long time ago. I covered pro wrestling and other things, so it's great to see a young, hot dude up and coming.
Yeah, no, like I said, I've been doing my thing since like 2019, but, you know, we're in front of a different, you know, blend of audience, so I thought, you know, it'd be great to go back to my roots.
Solidarity. So I guess my question is, strictly from a wrestling perspective, what are your thoughts on Donald Trump's contributions to the pro wrestling business, given how he supported WWF in the 90s, and obviously the Battle of the Billionaires with Vince McMahon? Thank you for your call, Fidelis.
No problem. As far as Trump, I mean, political stuff aside, like, he's a fan. You know, he openly, you know, I guess him and Vince had some kind of connection, but he was a fan. You know, he allowed WWE to do their thing, WrestleMania, Trump Plaza. You know, that was a pretty big venue at the time. And, you know, he's been there. He's had an appearance at, like I said, at that time when they did their thing at WrestleMania. I wasn't watching actively. That was like maybe the WrestleMania or two after I stopped, so I didn't really watch it. But yeah, good for him. He's openly a wrestling fan, and you know he had, like, not to get political, but you've seen it. He had Terry, you know, right out on the stage, you know, speaking about whatever he was doing politically. So he's clearly a fan, and I thank him for that. Okay, we got about 5 minutes till the top of the hour here. Get your calls in. I'm looking at the messages just in case I'm missing anybody, so get hot on the Discord here. I just missed his call, so I tried to call him back. Hold on. I think that might be it for the night. Someone asks me a question via text. I don't want to miss anybody here. Yeah, I am missing people. I'm really trying. You guys got to add me as a friend, or hold on. Hello, I almost missed your call, brother, but I called you back. How are you doing? You take us home. Talk wrestling. What's up? He's not on the line. I'm not too sure. I apologize, fans. Maybe we don't have anybody that's hot to take us home here tonight. We got Dan. I can't read your name, but welcome to the show. You know, you're going to be taking us home to the end of the show here. Let's talk wrestling. What do you got?
Well, brother, I gotta say, you are the king of this sector, and I gotta say, who is the hot young dude coming up in wrestling, in your opinion? We're talking about the oldies. I've got to give props to them, but who's the hot young dudes?
Okay. Yeah, thank you for your call. I'll answer that. I think currently the hot dude that's really coming up, really making an impact, we'll see where it goes, is probably that Gunther. You know, he's incredible. He's a great talent, great character. I think, again, he's a guy that can kind of straddle the line between kind of the badass villain and the hero. Really expecting big things for him over there. And I think if he does, take the 1, 2, 3 from Jey Uso, it's going to hurt his career, because I don't think Uso is ready, for the big spotlight, for the big role as champion. Like, in my opinion, he's an entrance, and that's all he's really got. So that's my opinion on that. We're almost at the end of the show here, so I'm going to try really hard. Oh, I keep missing this guy here. Okay, sorry, brother. I tried to get to you as soon as I could. You're on the line. You're going to be taking us home. What's on your mind? Let's get a good question.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. If I had to pick one question, it would probably be fuck, cock, shit.
Okay, wow. Just blocked. That is not the way I want to end my show tonight. You can go effing screw yourself and, get the F out. Just like the WWF shirt said in the 90s. Get the F out, because we don't effing want you here. Goodbye. Blocked. I want to end the show with a positive fan that really wants to come forward and speak wrestling. Brother, this might be the final call of the night. Give us a good question. Give us a good memory. What do you got?
Hey, brother. First off, I want to say great stream, as usual. Very positive vibes.
Thank you.
I will admit, I was disappointed to see the lack of Undertaker representation.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that. Yeah, like I said, I mean, maybe if you guys like the show, I'll bring it back, and I'll, some Undertaker stuff could be coming up. But yeah, I noticed that. I kind of noticed that. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, that's my personal fave. And then I heard you say you didn't care much for him, so I'm like, oh, well.
I don't not like him. I do like his matches. He's given a lot of great matches and memories, but just, I don't know. He's just not like a top favorite, but he's there.
I get you. Did you have any thoughts about his feud in the Attitude Era with Triple H?
Yeah, I mean, they were, really doing some great stuff. I think it was a little bit of an awkward meshing of styles, but I think they made it work, especially when they did their thing at WrestleMania 17. That was pretty good.
Yeah, all right, cool. That's
all right, thank you. Have a great night. So we got time for one last call, and I'm going to make sure it's a good one before we get off the air. All right, brother, you're going to be taking us home. You're going to be taking us off the air. Let's get a good question. What do you got?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, I know you were saying earlier that The Undertaker isn't one of your favorite
I just answered that, but go ahead with your question. I'm sorry.
No, I just want to know how you felt about his American Badass persona.
Honestly, I loved it. That was probably, my favorite era Undertaker. You remember when he came down with Limp Bizkit? He had that hot new theme, and he was coming down on the motorcycle. He was kicking butt and taking names. Like, I think he, came across as more dangerous when he was doing the Deadman character.
I have to agree. I was going to say, because I was remembering when I think it was the USO show that he put on.
Yeah.
Or that they were putting on. He came out on the motorcycle and the crowd just exploded.
Yeah, I think it holds a lot of nostalgia for people.
Yep, it was one of my favorite moments in wrestling for sure.
Cool. Well, thank you for your call, and thank you for ending the show with us tonight. And I'm glad you're here.
I can finally get on the line with you. Love this stuff, brother.
All right. Thank you, dude. Take care. All right, fans. That's gonna wrap us up for the return of the PWR Wrestleline. I'll take a couple minutes because I want to look at the chat. I want to get some feedback. Did you like it? Did it get you hot? Did it do our industry justice? Let me know, and then I'm gonna, get out of here. Amazing show, thank you. Hot. That was hot. We're getting a lot of great feedback. Hot dudes. Press H if you're hot. Yeah, press H if you're hot. Great show. You liked it? I'm glad you did. Like I said, I thought this would be better than coming on and talking about like Jey Uso and The Miz, and like I wanted to go back to what really meant something to me, what really I'd be passionate about. And man, we got so many emotional moments and so many great calls. We got a couple troll garbage calls that we got their butts out of here, but I think in general, the show was a success. I'll reach out to the fans and see if they want me to do this again. I had a lot of fun, but in the meantime, that's going to be it. A little bit of a shorter show, but that was what I expected, and I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. So this will be the PWR Wrestleline signing off. Until next time, thank you, ladies and gentlemen.